The following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey, what? Let's go!
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for.
Ah!
The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers,
You pig!
damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Sport!
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to our humble abode, the Thunderdome, on this Coach Saban Thursday, September 28th, 2023. This sports program starts now.
Football
is happening this evening. The NFL will kick off its Week 4 slate as the brand new Lions travel to the Green Bay Packers on Amazon Prime this evening. Now, there's a fun little stat floating around about this particular game. This is the first time in 37 years that the Detroit Lions are traveling to take on the QB1 for the Green Bay Packers, in which they are currently favored by 2 going into Green Bay. This hasn't happened in forever. This is a whole new world for the Detroit Lions and their fan base, and they kick off a weekend slate that is going to be spectacular. We'll be talking about all of it today. We got Michael Lombardi joining us in about 18 minutes. We got Nick Saban joining us about an hour and 4 minutes. We got Shams Charania joining us in the third hour out of The Athletic because NBA's happening.
Whoa.
A trade took place yesterday in the middle of our show. Now, our show, mostly football show, because nobody's saying, hey, what is the former partner that wears tank tops with his friends talking about? Oh, are they talking about football? Yeah, okay. Are they talking about basketball? We don't care. So we're not the authority on basketball. Shams Charania is, though.
Yes, he is.
He's going to get to the bottom of how Dame ended up with the Milwaukee Bucks. I thought he was going to Miami.
Yeah, we all did.
I thought he was going to Miami. The Suns got in on a 2 or 3 team trade. The NBA, the way they move, is obviously an incredible one-player-led league. We all agree, because there's only certain humans that can play in that league. He is now a member of the Bucks alongside the Greek freak, Drew Holiday, who just 2 days ago said, I love Milwaukee Bucks.
Bucks forever.
I'm going to retire a Buck. Bucks for life, he said. Actual quote. Next day, bang, you're traded. They're going to buy him out. I think he's going to become a free agent. There's a lot of moving pieces. We'll talk to Shams, but let's not talk anymore about basketball. Let's talk about the toxic table at Boston Corner. Seems like
pretty cool shirt, huh?
What's that?
Pretty cool shirt, I'd say.
You like that shirt?
Well, this is the first shirt that I've ever worn twice on the show, actually. So, yeah, you could say I like this shirt.
Well, that's a different tone than what you were saying yesterday.
The tone yesterday was there's too much going on. You know, today I've accepted the madness. I've accepted the chaos. I welcome the chaos. I love this shirt. And, of course, above all, I love America.
You know, people are going to think that the reason why you're wearing that shirt 2 times is because Outkick actually posted the video of you not liking America, and you feel like you got to prove yourself now to your potential political party about what's going on your
the
T-shirt.
wing you sit on came
the plane.
No.
You know that Wright brothers? You know that does?
Oh, yeah.
You hopped on that bird and you went right to the right wing. You're like, give me that. Let me go ahead and sit on that thing. That's what you've done. And yesterday they said, this is our guy.
This ain't our guy.
This ain't our guy. And now you're wearing back-to-back days, same shirt. I've never seen this out of you.
No, never. Look, I'm a registered independent. So, I mean, if we're talking about left wing, right wing, I am sitting right in the middle on the cockpit, okay? I'm not doing this hanging out on wings, okay? I love this shirt. That's why I wore it. And I think whether you're on the left or the right, you can love this shirt with your whole entire soul. Now, I did buy about 8 others that have American flags on them, maybe to prove.
You think you tried a little bit.
maybe to hammer home what I'm trying to spin here. But no, it's a great shirt. I'm glad I'm wearing it again.
I saw that tweet go out on X.
Yeah.
And obviously we got added in and everything. So I look at it and I just go, oh, no, God, man. These are your people. You just burn bridges with your people over there. Shout out to Dan Dawkins having that interview with Lou Holtz and us being able to run it yesterday for his answer to Ryan Day. The reason why Ryan Day said anything is because one half of the Toxic Table, at Ty Schmidt, interviewed Lou Holtz dressed as Lou Holtz. Has this been the most absurd run that you've been on, you think, in your time?
Yeah, probably. I mean,
They had a follow-up interview.
Exactly.
There's been follow-up interviews because of you dressed up like Lou Holtz doing an interview with actual Lou Holtz.
And it'll probably, in some way, shape, or form, be a storyline for the rest of the college football season, I would imagine. So, I mean, I thought it just was going to end on Friday. Hey, fun little game we played. That was a neat moment. And then obviously Saturday comes, and then we have no choice but to respond on Monday, and then kind of, we'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, I mean, I've never been subscribed to the, hey, we live in a simulation, all that bullshit. But I'll tell you what, after this past weekend, I'm starting to subscribe to it a little bit more.
Yeah, our show is in the middle of a lot of stuff.
It really is.
And I think Monday they're going to do an announcement of how many people have potentially seen this particular program over the last month with the addition of the ESPN platform alongside our YouTube and ESPN Plus. And every time I get updated on all that stuff, I think it's all fake. Everything's a joke. Okay. This can't be real. Yeah. But I want to let you know, everything you did with Lou, really funny. So I appreciate the hell out of you. One half of the hammer, Dahn. Cowboys Tone Diggs is here. We'll talk about that first in 37 years thing, because it is a big deal. Because this is the turning of a tide for not only a franchise, but an entire city, maybe.
Yeah.
Detroit rallying around this Lions team that has been built in their name and image. We're a tough team, a gritty team, a blue-collar team. We want to represent what Detroit is, and they're dogs, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Their offensive line are dogs. Their coach is a dog. The defense is a dog. Their punter's a dog. That team is a hungry dog, and tonight, they're favorites against the Green Bay Packers. We'll talk about that line and many others with Tone. And then joining us, a man who coached for 36 years. 18 in college, 18 in the NFL. Head coach in the NFL, defense coordinator in the NFL, defensive side of the ball his entire career. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Chuck Pagone. Coach, big game tonight in Green Bay. I know you've broken it all down. I don't know if you have the full roster and depth chart in front of you like you did last week. We appreciate that information. Early conversation, though, in your mind about tonight's game is going to be what?
I'm guessing, if Aaron Jones is back, because A.J. Dillon in the run game up there, he's averaging 2.7.
So Ty is not the biggest fan of A.J. Dillon, a football player.
You got to have the compliment. It's Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside, Thunder, Lightning. He's Thunder. Okay,
is he though? That's the thing. I don't know.
But it isn't. But there is no Thunder right now, right? So they're desperate to get Aaron Jones back. They say he's going to be back. Christian Watson's going to be back. That should help that offense a little bit. The quarterback's only completing 53%. I know we love Love.
We love Love.
Right?
We always love. And the players.
He's only completing 53% of his passes. But I think, I'm a Dan Campbell fan.
Okay. Don't give us a prediction yet. All right. So that's
no. I'm not giving no prediction. But they got a good run defense, 5th in the league. They give up 72 yards game on the ground.
Wow.
That's pretty good run defense.
Wow.
It's all about.
So tonight might be a hey Jordan Love. Only 53% completion or whatever. Been without Watson, right? Yeah. Him and Dobbs have only been doing their thing. Also been out without his left tackle. I believe he's out again tonight, David Bakhtiari, right?
Yeah, and Elton Jenkins is out as well. So both the left side of the line won't be playing tonight.
And it's good whenever somebody like Aiden Hutchinson, who is coming to town, never takes a play off either, Foxy.
Works so hard back there.
How do you feel, Foxy, with your team being favored for the first time in 37 years against QB1 in Green Bay? Now, you told me earlier, if they were to get to win this evening, that'd be 4 straight against the Green Bay Packers.
4 in a row.
For the Detroit Lions. Do the Lions have the Packers number, or is this just, hey, another game for the Lions?
No, let me tell you this. 6 years ago, I met Ty Schmidt, and we talk Lions-Packers all the time, and he said this to me. He said, Foxy, nothing will matter for the Detroit Lions until Aaron Rodgers is done, retired, gone from the Packers. And here we are. We're finally here. We've won 3 in a row. Tonight will be 4, and we're favored in Lambeau. I think, I'm going to say I think this is the Lions division this year.
Okay.
I really do.
I love that. I love you saying that here going into week 4. Because we will certainly follow that storyline for a good time. But not only is Aaron not there anymore, remember how Aaron left the NFC North?
Yeah.
Home game.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Against the Lions.
Playoff berth on the line.
Prime time. And the Lions get a big time win.
And that was a meaningless game for the Lions. But think about what if the Packers win that? And what if they make a run to the playoffs? Does Aaron leave the Green Bay Packers? That was such a big game last year for Detroit and MCDC.
And if you're thinking about what's potentially happened behind the scenes with Gunther Kuntz and LaFleur and how they view this era and wanting to move to this, they're probably pretty thankful for the Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you guys get that big time win on, you know what I mean? Send him into that darkness retreat, and then
Goff's
we weren't able to get a hold of him.
Goff's 4-2.
Against the Packers?
Yeah.
Goff's a player. There's this clip coming out from NFL Films of Goff, and we saw this on, I believe, Everything DB with Darius Butler the other day.
Yep.
Laporta's touchdown, where Jared Goff stands in the pocket and has to take a shot. This is what Jared Goff said to the huddle right before. Listen to how calm, knowing he's going to take a free shot, because that's like a part of the play.
Yep.
This is the quarterback, knowing he's going to take a free shot in this next play. Listen to how calm he is and what he says to the boys right before it takes place.
Lions with the football, 3-3 game.
I don't know if y'all want to know, but this is the one. So,
Okay, everybody.
Down in 10 after
Just
the penalty.
hands behind his back.
Yeah.
45.
Hey, boys. So calm. First sound. Catch him offset. Calais Campbell in his face. Who cares? Touchdown. He's talking shit to Calais.
Yeah, almost.
Hey,
Talk about a beautiful play design.
I love that this is what Jared Goff has become.
Yes.
And now we have certainly had our story with Detroit.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about the Lions more than any humans talked about the Lions, strictly because Evan Fox is on a microphone. So we had to talk about the Lions because every week it was like, hey, Detroit's not playing too bad. And then Detroit would lose in an epic fashion. Detroit would have the lead in the fourth quarter, then they would lose somehow. Then that would happen again. And again, and again, and again. And then we learned that that's how it's been for like 40 years. Like that is literally what Detroit Lions football is. Every game you think you're going to win, you're in the game, and then Heartbreak City at the very end. Almost, representative of what ended up happening with the city of Detroit. And then now, with Dan Campbell coming in there, rebuilding the culture, and the city is blossoming and building again, and they're starting to take it all over, it feels like Jared Goff had to experience the same exact thing. He was down at the very bottom when he got kicked out, boom, of the Los Angeles Rams organization by McVay, who was in a hot tub in Cabo with Matthew Stafford. That's how that deal gets done. So he gets sent up to Detroit. Everybody's mocking him. L.A. to Detroit. He had a golf course that was actually on Hard Knocks in his backyard. Now he's moving to Detroit, Michigan, which I don't know if anybody's saying, you know what, get me to Detroit.
Yeah.
Even though Detroit's coming back.
Yeah.
Good city now.
From what I've been told, it's coming all the way back. It's beautiful and everything like that. So then what did Goff do? Just put his blinders on. Went to work, trusted that Dan Campbell and the boys were going to get the right pieces, and now he's one of the most successful. He's top 5 quarterback in the NFL, top 6 quarterback in the NFL, and he has the poise 3-3 game right there against an Atlanta Falcons defense that is very tough.
Oh, yeah.
Going to be a tough game for the Lions. He's got his hands behind his back. He's like, hey, don't know if you guys want to know. This is the one. Yep. He knows he's taking that free shot. He's rolling left. Everything's going to the right. He knows there's somebody going to be in his face. Does not care. He's the perfect quarterback for the situation going on up there. Dan Campbell's the perfect head coach for them, and it feels like it's really all starting to come together. But the Green Bay Packers can just say, we don't care.
Yeah,
this is the Jordan Love era taking off. With Watson back, that's good news. Aaron Jones back, that's good news. How's your confidence level, Ty Schmidt, as an owner of the Green Bay Packers, looking ahead to this evening on Prime?
I feel pretty good. I mean, the Lions, I think, it's the brand new Lions. That's not just a moniker. I think that is for real. I feel a lot better that the Packers won last week. If they would have been 1-2 going into this game, then it would have felt not like a must win, but it's like, hey, don't want to start 1-3 with, what we looked at before the year. It's like, hey, the Packers going into their bye week realistically could either be tied for first in the North or right in the conversation. To Chuck's point, like Love's completion percentage isn't great, but he's done enough to win 2 games, and
Fourth quarter.
And we said early on, like, hey, they shouldn't put that on Jordan Love. Like, he shouldn't have to throw 45 times a game in order for them to win. And it just so happens that he had to do that last week because A.J. Dillon wasn't playing well. Aaron Jones is still hurt. So I think it'll be close. I don't think the Packers are their defense has been very good so far this year too. I don't think they're really I can't see them getting blown out. I don't know if they're going to win because I think the Lions are very good. But
it is. Brand new Lions, brand new NFC North.
Hell yeah.
Same old Bears. Anyways, no need. Hey, sorry about that, Zeno. That was just kind of out of nowhere. You didn't deserve that completely. Tone, first time 37 years, Lions going into Green Bay as favorites against QB1 for the Packers. I guess there's been backup quarterbacks that have been starting for the Packers over the last 37 years where the Lions were favored going in. But with the starting quarterback in place, first time good versus good, 37 years, they're favored. What are the lines saying? What's the over-under? What's the expectation for the game?
So, it started
little bit shorter, and there's more action coming in on the Lions. 55% of the bets are on the Lions, and I think it's because
that feels pretty even.
Yeah,
that doesn't feel that bad.
No, I think it's because people love the Lions and people respect the Packers always. And early this year, Jordan Love has looked really good. Lions were 6-0 against the spread last year against the NFC North. Which was kind of shocking to me.
Right.
Dan Campbell and LaFleur,
but they were kind of underappreciated last year, right? Weren't they? Like this year, now it feels
like. To start
like
the year,
okay,
were
you're
for
saying
sure.
even.
Well, remember they started the year terrible.
1-6.
Yep.
And then they came on at the end of the year. We've always talked about how the primetime games kind of feel like poop games. Thursday night, 23-12-1 first half under. So not a lot of scoring in the first half on Thursday nights. The total in this one, I was just looking it up, which I don't think it's that high because the Lions have been playing such good defense.
Yeah, 45.
Put the graphic up.
45 and a half.
It should be in there. Boom, 45 and a half.
I was making sure it didn't move.
Yeah, 45 and a half because the line has moved. It went from 1.5. Then at some places it's at 2.5.
Yeah.
And then some books have it at 2, and some books still have it at 1.5.
Yeah.
So I think they're all trying to figure out what the spread's going to be. Chuck, whenever you look at this, okay, and I know you're not a gambler.
Nope.
You Italians, we're going to talk to Lombardi. He goes, I don't actually gamble, but also have a full program and AI here.
My system.
My books.
Yeah,
if I was the book, this would be my line. And you guys are super Italian, so I'm not going to. I got the horn right here. Please don't judge. But also, sports gambling, since the history of the whole thing.
Yep.
You don't gamble, but you do look into it. Fair to say?
Yeah.
Lions being favored, does that change anything, you think, culture-wise for Dan Campbell going into Green Bay now that they're not they're supposed to win? That is not normal. Yeah. That's 37 years not supposed to win. Yep. So anytime you go into Lambeau, which is like a movie, you think of Steve Sable and NFL films and the frozen tundra at Lambeau in Green Bay, Wisconsin. They zoom out, and there's like 3-bedroom houses right next to Lambeau, just all around that whole thing. It's like a movie you go in there. NFL fantasy fairy tale land whenever you show up. Got to play a game there. It was beautiful. You feel like you're walking through the history of the NFL. And when you're going in there and you're not supposed to win, that's a lot different vibe, right, than whenever you're supposed to win? Or does that not matter to Dan Campbell?
His culture is set. We see that, first and foremost. So he's not going to allow them to succumb to all that stuff right now. They're hard-nosed. They're tough. He's not listening to any lines. They have enough confidence. Going in there last year and beating their ass at the end when Green Bay had everything to play for.
Yep.
Playoffs in a line, and they go in there and beat them. No, they're not worried about any lines. It's about, hey.
Let's think about these lines real quick.
Tough.
Foxy, you've done more research than me because good call on that. Primetime last week of the season, supposed to be good to go to the playoffs.
Right.
Wasn't, though, but was supposed to be.
Right.
Got yourself into a position to be there.
Yes.
Beat the hell out of them. Opening night, beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, now we got the Packers on prime time. I mean, it's just like, this is a Lions team that's a wagon. We're in the middle of wagon season.
Yes, we are.
For the Detroit Lions.
First time in my life we can ever say that. First time in my life I can hear a Packers fan say, hey, the Lions actually might be better than us this year. It's unbelievable, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Are they going to have Tim on the sidelines tonight, the Lions?
They should. They should at least have 4 or 5 clips of him talking lined up. Maybe not the motorcycles one, but at least 4 or 5.
Yeah, I appreciate the fact that these Lions are the real deal, but once again, Jordan Love he had his moment fourth quarter last week in Lambeau where he was doing this number here to the Packers fans, and all the Packers fans were all, yeah, you're right, Pat.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Let's go.
And in those Packers stadiums, Lambeau, that place remains full.
Yeah.
I called a Lions-Packers game where the Lions won by like 40 or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Aaron got hurt in the second play, got a concussion. This was in the middle of December. There was nothing on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I was calling the game, 1 o'clock game. Boy, what a miserable, legitimate. If you're a Packers fan, miserable, freezing cold. That place was packed all the way through. Now, is that because everybody's flights out of there are booked for later and a lot of people travel in for those particular games? Not a lot of places to go to? Or because whenever you're in there, you just want to experience all that you can experience, Lambeau? It's going to be a scene tonight. Yeah. This is going to be one of the best environments that Thursday Night Football will see. And if they get a dub over this Lions team, being the underdogs, that Jordan Love welcome ceremony is going to continue from the fourth quarter of last week all the way through. This could be a huge night for Jordan Love time.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, this all depends on Aaron Jones because they said he's kind of going to be on a pitch count a little bit. They want to be smart with him because they realize, hey, for the rest of the season here, like, we need this guy. We can't go a 4 to 5 game stretch where he's not available. So if he can actually play and get 20 to 25 touches, and Jordan Love can do what he's been doing thus far, not turning the ball over, I think that's what it'll come down to. If the Packers can force a couple turnovers and they can play a clean game on
not
offense,
easy against the Lions.
Definitely not easy.
Right.
Yeah,
Not easy against the Lions.
and the thing that worries me the most is we saw how much trouble Bijan Robinson gave the Packers defense 2 weeks ago. Jahmyr Gibbs kind of in that same mold.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it starts and ends there. Like, they need to be able to stop the run. They haven't been great at it this year. Much better last week. But we'll see. If they play a clean game, I think it'll be close, and they'll have an opportunity to win.
It'll be loud. Joining us now is a man who has won 2 Super Bowls. Ooh. He's been a general manager in the NFL. He's been a coaching assistant in the NFL. He's been a consultant in the NFL. Right. He has a daily newsletter that he writes. Mm-hmm. He has a live show called the Lombardi Line. He has a podcast called the GM Shuffle. He is an author of a book, shout out here, Football Done Right, and others, New York Times bestseller. The man works all the time. Paisano, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Lombardi.
Yeah. How we doing? How are you guys doing?
Hey,
how's things?
Hey, life is good. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk about tonight's game a little bit, how you're feeling. Bakhtiari at Elton Jenkins at Christian Watson, though, wide receiver for the Packers, in Aaron Jones, in on a pitch count potentially. How does that affect things, and how do you see tonight going as the Lions are favored for the first time in 37 years in Lambeau against QB1?
Well, look, the Lions last year won both games, but the Packers defense held them to 34 points in both games. And we know the Packers turned the ball over down in the red zone in the first game in Detroit. The second game was at the end of the year, and, they just couldn't get it going offensively. There was so many issues. But this year, the Packers offense, even though it hasn't looked as smooth as you might think it is, when you break them down, they're fourth in points per play. They move the football. Jordan Love is it's a little bit of, you can't measure it by percentage of completion. The guy has made some incredible good throws, like he made to Dobbs last week on the sideline against the Saints, and he led his team back. There's a sense of belief, I think, in Jordan Love and his ability, and this Packer defense, where their liability is in the run game, right? When they play Atlanta, that's always going to be the trouble. How do they handle the outside-inside zone? And that's going to be what Detroit has to do. But I do think with Jones back more in the passing game, Pat, I think that's a huge help. Look, one thing about Detroit, you're not going to run the ball in Detroit. I mean, Atlanta tried to run the ball in Detroit last week. That's not going to work. Detroit's front's better. It's their secondary that's not as good, and you've got to attack that. So I think this will be a great game. I think Al Michaels' tie will be impeccable, and I think it'll come down to a field goal.
Hey, last week his double Windsor was,
gorgeous. You're not going to beat him. You're just not going to beat him. I mean, just go on to another guy.
I don't want to
go on to another tie.
I don't want to pivot away from the NFL a little bit, because I would like to expand upon your, hey, Jordan Love's going to have to throw it, even though he's lost the left side of his offensive line, won't be playing, especially against that front. I guess they're just going to have to scheme that ball to be coming out a little bit quicker, especially with Aaron Jones in there. You see Bruce Springsteen cancel the rest of his – you see that?
Yeah, I did. I was a little worried about that. I'm worried about it, because I had tickets to go to a show and he canceled.
No.
Yeah, it's not good. Not good. I don't like it, but, hopefully he'll bounce back. He was at a Freehold Diner 2 days ago, having lunch or breakfast. Didn't get the notice soon enough. But anyway, we'll get it back. He'll be back.
Hey, boss, we're pulling for you, boss.
Love you, boss.
Yeah, we are.
Also,
damn right.
Also, how old is he?
74, just celebrated 74. Here in the great state of New Jersey, that's a holiday.
This guy's doing he's doing 3-4 shows a week at the age of 70. Hey, take a nap, boss. We appreciate you, though. We appreciate the hell out of you.
Thanks.
We do. We appreciate it. All right, let's get to some more NFL conversations that are taking place.
Yeah.
Anytime your team gives up 70 points, there's obviously going to be a lot of questions about what you got going on.
Oh, boy.
What do you think the combo is in Denver right now with Sean, with George Patton, with ownership, and everything about how we right this ship? Because that was getting exposed quickly. Yeah, and I'm not saying this is Russell Wilson's fault, which I think some people were automatically pointing at Russell, because obviously anytime you give up 70, quarterback isn't going to be the one stopping all the points from getting in the end zone. But what's going on over there, and how do they find it? And are you worried about the Broncos this season under Sean Payton?
I am worried, because when you watch that tape, you worry even further. I mean, the holes were enormous. They missed more. I mean, you can blame Russell all you want. He didn't miss a tackle, but the defense missed a zillion tackles. It might be one of the worst tapes I've ever seen in my life in terms of a defensive tape, with the lack of effort, the lack of intensity, the lack of coordination. And I'm not trying to blame Vance Joseph, because it looked like there was just mass confusion out of there. And the talent level of where they need to be. And this week they're missing a bunch of they're missing some starters. They missed Justin Simmons last week. It was a bad one. I mean, this is going to require all of Sean's leadership ability to kind of unify the team, because when you're watching that tape, you don't see a buy-in. You don't see the players kind of all in this together. And this is either going to turn one way or turn the other way. And he's got to rewrite the ship. It's a game you can't forget about. This isn't on to Cincinnati. Like, okay, we're on to Cincinnati. No. You got to spend time on this, and you got to make decisions, and you got to move forward based on what you learned from this tape, because you were never going to see a 70-20 whipping like we saw. And it could have been worse.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been worse. And the effort on tackles was so bad. Like, there wasn't an effort. You know, it's like they were all they were still on South Beach. It was like, come on, guys, we're playing here. And that's going to have to be something to get corrected. And I don't think you just assume that quickly. You know, the Bears got embarrassed too. So these are two teams that are embarrassed playing against one another. And they got to get they got to get the ship right.
Yeah, and, you know, the flies on the ship, obviously, are a problem. But the Miami flu's a real deal, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Second floor, Tootsie's getting shoulder rubs, can potentially linger into a Sunday game. Surtain, who's like in everybody's top 3 corners in the league, Mike White bombing on him. I mean, it was just like, it was bananas. Hopefully they're able to get that thing tightened up.
I hate that, Pat. I hate when you put your best corner on their best receiver. Like, put double you're not covering. Nobody's covering Tyreek Hill. No one's covering Tyreek Hill. He had an angle. The first touchdown of the game, there's an angle on him by the safety. A professional athlete, a safety, and he outran it. It was like not even close. It was like, here's the play.
With the deuces.
Here's the play. Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. He's wide open. Now, this guy's got an angle on him. And if it's two-hand touch, he doesn't even get him.
And
I mean, literally, if it's two-hand touch, it's still a touchdown. So, like, you got to be able to handle this. And that was a great clip to show, because one thing that no one notices on this Miami offense is circle around the quarterback. There's nobody in front of him. There's nobody near his feet. It's like a 7-on-7 game. And what McDaniels has done with the offense is, by running that outside zone so horizontally, he stretches the defense horizontally, which allows the pocket to open. And he has these huge windows to throw. See it here? Look at this window to throw the ball in. Look at it. You got basically 3 players outside the hash marks. Outside the hash marks. And now you're throwing the ball to the most valuable player in the National Football League.
With nobody around him.
Nobody.
With nobody around him.
Yeah, and I guess.
There's my man, Chuck.
Yeah,
I love him.
Chuck. No, Chuck.
That was embarrassing. That was hard to watch.
I've started a list on how many guys wouldn't be going home on planes if we were with Al on that trip there.
That would be amazing.
Can you imagine?
Now, the whole thought, though, of getting exposed like that on Sunday, and it only being week 3, and it's like your brand new culture. There's going to be a lot of questions kind of going forward if they're not able to, if they lose to the Bears. Oh my God.
Oh, boy.
Could you fathom? It's going to get loud out there in the Mile High.
It's going to be, there's going to be a lot of excitement. I'll tell you the next one that's coming. You want to know the next storm that's coming?
Hell yeah.
Is Robert Saleh at the Jets, okay?
Hold on, Lombo. Let me frame it this way then, because I was going to ask about them next after what you said about Tua. So Tua last year gets multiple concussions, affects the entire team. When Tua's on the field, they're incredible. When he's not on the field, they're not that great. It seems like they've tried to put an effort into that offensive line in how we protect them. McDaniel went to work, setting up leverage. Let's go ahead and keep Tua protected. On the flip side, all anybody has chatted about since Aaron Rodgers has got to the New York Jets was like the offensive line stinks. That's pretty much what Hard Knocks was.
Yep. Yeah.
That's pretty much what all Hard Knocks was. And then it became the entire conversation. They need to trade for Bakhtiari, they were saying at one point. Is that team still doomed by that entire thing? Is Zach Wilson? What is the deal with the New York Jets? And are they just punting this year, you think, until they get Aaron back next year?
No, I don't think they want to punt, because I think if this keeps going down the road, there'll be changes. But you make a great point here, okay? What McDaniels did was he knows that he needs to keep Tua healthy. He knows he needs to keep the pocket clean. And so by running he averaged 22 runs last year a game. This year he's up to 31, and that outside zone keeps the pocket tight. So here's where I'm going with this. So if they're gonna play Trevor Siemian, because we've all seen enough that Zach Wilson isn't good enough to play.
When?
I don't
when,
care if
Lombo?
They're going to have to put Siemian in the game.
When soon? You're saying like this week?
I would say I take the second quarter.
Wow.
That shift could happen because we'd be too busy looking at Taylor Swift that we missed the shift in quarterback. But that might happen, right? That could happen. But let's just say it does. Let's say it doesn't happen this week. It happens next week. You're never going back to Zach Wilson again, Pat. You're never going back. Once he removes Zach Wilson from the starting lineup, that's the end of his career as a Jet. I'm just telling you, because as a team, and Chuck can verify this, there's no way once you bench him, you could put him back in, because then the team's just going to say, we lost. We're done. It's over.
It happened last year.
Yeah.
Remember, it happened last year with Flacco and Strafolsky.
Mike White.
So
Mike White, they made shirts. The teammates made shirts. Mike White shirts they were wearing in front of this guy's face. I mean, it's wild, this whole Zach Wilson.
Once you make that move, and here's where it comes to your point, that offensive line, if they go to Siemian, he's going to have to really be tough and strong to not get hurt, because he's going to get hit.
Don't matter.
And so my point was, it's one thing to sign Trevor Siemian, right? You better sign two of them, because if Siemian, who's not a big man, if he gets hit and gets hurt, you can't go back to Wilson. So who are you going to play? Boyle? God. You going to put him in there?
Could you imagine trotting Siemian out there? Okay, the New York Jets fans, by the way.
They'll go nuts.
Yeah, you got Fireman Ed. Literally, give me my hat.
Yeah.
Oh! As soon as Simeon's going out there, they are all excited, just like they were last year.
Yeah.
When Mike White goes out there, the place goes crazy. Zach Wilson goes out there, they're actually booing. Whenever Strafolsky, Strevler, CFL legend, goes on the field, they didn't even know this guy existed. The fans had no clue that this guy was on their team. It's a primetime game. He is now their quarterback. As soon as they hear somebody's in at quarterback that wasn't Zach Wilson, okay,
let's go.
We love this guy. Imagine Siemian going out there and then just like 3 plays, 2 plays,
Getting
and
cuts.
then Zach having
We already
they're
watched
still
that.
finishing the Jets chant for the other guy. And Zach, so we're back.
Do it again.
What a scene.
That already happened to Simeon on Monday night as a Jet, I think.
Well, we hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
We hope everybody
Yeah,
remains
agreed.
safe. But that is like
I'm not hoping anybody gets hurt. I'm just saying,
reality.
as a general manager, you got to prepare for that, because there's no way you're going back to Zach. So, like, that conversation at Florham Park is, look, once you make this move, Robert, you understand that there's no going back to the kid. We're just going to basically put him out over here in the pasture, put him over here, as Al Davis would call Elba. Because Elba is where they sent Napoleon after he lost. He would threaten to send you to Elba all the time. Oh, I'm going to send you to Elba, young man. And he would put you over here. That's where Zach Wilson's going to go once he takes him out, because he's never coming back to play for the Jets.
Jeez.
So you better have two. You better have 2 players that you can play.
Joe Namath would be pumped, I think.
Oh, yeah.
And Robert Saleh came out and had to answer for not only what Aaron said on this particular program, but also what Joe Namath said on the Michael Kay show. So anytime you're answering about statements that are being made, it is not good. He said his door is always open for Joe. And I think Joe, if this move was to be made, and once again, maybe this is the week that Zach, prime time against the Chiefs. Taylor Swift's in the building.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
His mom's going to be super pumped, probably there as well.
Nervous.
I think Aaron's going to be there, maybe rolling around on his little Achilles
No
thing.
chance.
No.
No.
Thank
But 5 years from now, where there's going to be a documentary on Netflix about how Zach Wilson, it's going to be like the Johnny Manziel one. He really wasn't interested. Like, he doesn't come across as wanting to play, Pat. You can't make it up. The players on the sideline, they see it. What we're seeing in New York is an absence of leadership, because everybody sees it except the head coach is defending them. And that hurts the head coach's credibility.
Yeah.
Don't misjudge this now.
It's
that
tough.
head coach stands in front of the team and says, I support Zach Wilson, but I'm holding you accountable for blocking. Well, you're not holding him accountable for making good calls? It's a contradiction, and as a leader, you can't have that.
Yeah, it's tough.
You got to be honest.
Yeah, but he also has to he also has to have his guys. I mean, that is
brutal.
Coach Saleh had no idea, I think, what he was signing up for whenever he said, you remember how much fun he was having as defense coordinator for San Francisco 49ers?
Oh, yeah.
That play sheet, they actually had to attach it like it was a jet ski thing because he used to get so jacked up that thing would be flying around. Now he's like, yeah, Broadway Joe, I heard. Yep. Heard what he said. Rex Ryan. Yep. Heard what he said. Aaron, our quarter. Yep. Heard what he said. Yeah. I love our quarterback. I think he's really good. And in the back of his head, he's like, did anybody watch Hard Knocks? Whenever I literally said, I never had a quarterback anywhere near as good as Aaron Rodgers. Like, he put down Zach in that statement. But now he has to kind of put up the front to all the boys that he supports them. Tough scenes. Everything was supposed to be Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
It was literally the entire storyline, and then that ends after the fourth play, unfortunately. What a story for Jets fans to continue the tale that they've been cursed by the football gods forever. Now, speaking of a team that's maybe been cursed by the football gods, Chuck has a question for you, Lombo.
Speaking of exposed, Lombo, what Arizona did to Dallas and what they did in particular to the Dallas Cowboys defense, did they put a blueprint, in your opinion, out there for everybody else? And, you know, because everybody always talked about, hey, you got to run it. Micah Parsons, run at him. Well, they did to the tune of, I think, 222 yards rushing and got after him pretty damn good. So what do you think,
7 yards
Lombo?
to carry. And the tape didn't lie. Chuck, the tape wasn't a fluke. I mean, they beat him up. They blocked them. They owned it. I mean, look, as much as I was down on the Cardinals this summer, they could easily make a case for being 3-0. They let a game slip away with New York in the second half, and they had Washington. The problem is they're a 50-minute team. I think they've scored 18 points in the second half, and they haven't been able to really get going. They can't adjust it out. But when you watch that tape against Dallas, they moved the football effectively. They blocked them up front effectively, and Dobbs made some throws that were easy throws to make, and he made every one. Decision-wise, they did a great job. I would be, after watching that tape, when I finished that tape, I'm like, everybody has Dallas as the number one defense in the National Football League. I'm not so sure about that when you watch that tape.
Yeah, we all saw it. Yeah, we all saw it. We all felt the same thing. Niners, what they did against the Giants, they're in the conversation. Cleveland Browns defense right now with Schwartz is ridiculous. But let's stay with the Cardinals real quick because nobody's really talking about them. They have outperformed everybody's expectations and thoughts. Josh Dobbs, it's his 7th year, I think. 7th year, that's his first ever win as a starter. The guy's an actual rocket scientist. It's like, there's no chance, or is it? Can Dobbs win this?
No.
Can Dobbs win this team? Can this be Dobbs' team, or is that not possible?
Yeah, I think it already is. I think he's kind of developed the leadership for the team. They believe in him. He's smart. He's prepared. You could see a whole different attitude. Their culture's changed. You could see it right before your eyes. I mean, look, they're not going to be able to win a lot of games, but they're going to give you. They're a problem. They're going to make it hard for you. And if you think you're walking in there to play, and have the lead 14-0 after the first quarter, that's not going to be the case. And they play hard.
How do they balance the Kyler situation, though, then? How's the Kyler situation happen, Because Kyler, good teammate, by the way. Saw Kyler clapping, pumped up for the whole thing. But that's a real scene.
I think you got to ask yourself the question, do you want to pay $58 and $92 million over the next 2 years guaranteed? I think that's the question. That's really what it comes down to. And if you put him back out there on the field and he gets hurt, you've basically, that decision has been made for you. So it's something you got to think about. Look, you also got to think about, is any of these guys in the draft better than Kyler?
Well, I think they're saying like 7 guys.
Anybody better?
Everyone.
Anybody in this draft better than, that's why you have to grade players in any scouting. You got to grade the players. You grade the player. I got this guy graded 69, but this kid coming out, I think he could be an 8-0. So now, wait a minute. We got to make a decision here.
So you just said no to Dobbs, it sounded like. Dobbs not the guy? You don't think Dobbs could become the
No, I would say that to me, I think Dobbs is great for what they're doing, and he's secured himself a job in the National Football League as a backup. He's going to play for a while in that role. Now, if he keeps getting better, maybe he could become a starter. Look, there's not enough starting quarterbacks in the league right now. I mean, imagine if the Dobbs were on the Jets. There would be life in New York.
Oh, my God. Wow. There really would be. Yeah. It would be a whole different story, I guess. Now, you just got KFC, obviously diehard Jets fan, just telling a story of, oh, great, we're back at the point where we're going to games to see if Taylor Swift's there.
Yeah.
It's not for it because of our team, but hey, Aaron's coming back. Aaron's coming back.
Eventually.
Maybe they'll fix up that offensive line. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Lamo, you're probably the only one, I would say, that talks into a microphone on a weekly basis that can actually talk about Bill Belichick with firsthand experience and know what he likes and doesn't like. So this is directly and I think only for you. When it comes to Mac Jones, obviously he's played better, but when it comes to the bullshit twisting ankles like with Brian Burns, allegedly there was a cup check on Sauce Gardner.
There's video.
There's video that, Mac Jones might have backhanded Sauce Gardner's, kit and caboodle. And unfortunately, a lot of players have now come out and talked about how, he's just a dirty player and that is who he is. What does Bill think about that type of stuff? And when they go to the film room and they're watching that back, is Bill telling Mac, like, hey, we can't have this in the game? Or how does that work when it comes to breaking it down?
Well, I think he has great respect for the integrity of the game and the game, right? Like the players in the game and the opponent. And so, that stuff not going to get tolerated. Like, there's no need for that. Like, we don't need to do that. Like, there's no need to do that.
Oh, so Mac doesn't listen to Bill. Mac doesn't listen to Bill. Wow.
Well, you're jumping 1-to-1. I expect that he did that. You're leading the witness here, Pat. The problem with Mac is, when you look at the situation as he's played in, Mac, the bigger issue is Mac's got to play better, right? Mac is 0-10 against the spread in his last 10 starts as an underdog. I mean, that's a fact. I mean, that's what he's got to play better in these games. This is a big game for Mac because if they can protect, they can move the ball on Dallas, and their defense will be in the game. Their defense is good. Their defense will keep you in any game. So, but there's no place for that in any part of the game. Like, there's really no place for cheap shots. There's no place for that. Like, we know what goes on the bottom of those tussles to get the ball. I get that, right? I get that. And Mac got hit by the other guy and all that, but there's no need to do that. Like, don't take it any further. And I think as a coach, you have to coach that.
I think Mac Jones just has, I got to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's just a part of probably who he's been for his entire life. I assume when he's a kid, little youth, oh my God, the amount of things that he was doing.
Pinching.
Oh, so much pulling leg hair. Yeah. Probably just all the little stuff that you could potentially do. But in the NFL, hey, karma's real. We talked about it. Football gods are a real thing. Yes. Like, that's normally why people don't like to do that type of stuff. But there's been offensive linemen that have been known for this type of stuff. Corners have been known for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this guy's a dirty player. Yeah. That's just who we're playing a dirty player. That's who this guy is. Never a quarterback, though, because it feels like quarterback normally exposed the most. So you could potentially get it, comeuppance, which I assume will come at some point. But Bill O'Brien's the right answer, right? Bill O'Brien's the right answer to make him better?
They've looked better, and he's played better. I mean, the two throws, Connor, I don't know, I was screaming at the TV, but the 3rd and 3 throw that he threw down the field when we got to get the first down to put the game away, brutal. And then the other one on 3rd and 6 that he throws over to their bench, you got to make those throws. See, that's the difference between what separates quarterbacks, right? It's when the pressure's on, we need a first down or we need to get a first down. You got to make a tight window throw through the keyhole. That's really what it comes down to. The last 5 minutes, who plays the best at the quarterback position? And that's why guys that lead their team to Super Bowls can do that,
Yeah,
remember the
Mahomes.
game you played against Baltimore. I think you were on the they got Dallas Clark. It's 3rd and 4, Ray Lewis. And Peyton put the ball in a window that was as small as could be, and you say, "Okay, that's right. That's why he's one of the greats."
Oh, there's the guy. Yeah, Tom, obviously, Aaron, all the greats have those type of moments. Yep. Mac Jones, we're waiting on it, I guess, to be in the big spot to get to do it. And then you think about what's kind of lingered since then. Jimmy G with that throw in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Still talked about.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Still talked about to this day. If Jimmy makes that, San Francisco 49ers probably Super Bowl champions. He's probably getting a 10-year contract. Instead, Kyle Shanahan saw that and was like, never going to win one with this guy. Yep. Let's draft. Let's kind of move on. He at Las Vegas. Okay, so let's stay in this vein of knowing people well from New England. McDaniels out there at the Raiders. They're without Chandler Jones, who's one of the greatest pass
unfortunately.
rushers in history.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too dramatic and be hot take guy, but I think if you look at his stats and look at what he's been able to accomplish, I think people say, hey, this is one of the greatest pass rushers in the history of the game. Still has it, still in his prime, had double-digit sacks last year, and threw a quarterback's head through the dirt while securing a win with a pick 6 kind of thing against the Patriots last year. He's no longer with the team. This morning, he was live on X, and it just so happened to be at the exact same time we were all working out, so we watched it. He's been away from the team. Nobody's really talked about it. We assume he said some very terrible things about Josh McDaniels. Now, Josh McDaniels still has to step in front of an entire team that probably heard all of those things, who like and know Chandler Jones, and give his message. How is Josh handling that? How would you tell Josh to handle that if you were the general manager over there? And how does the organization get this thing right with Chandler? Is that even possible at this point?
I don't even know if it's possible. He said a lot of bad things about Mark Davis, the owner, too. So I think what you got to do is you got to address it. You got to address it. You can't ignore it. Look, I think it's a cry for help from Chandler. Now, he claims he's not hurt. He claims everything's fine, that it's against his will. This is not the kid that I know that helped put a Super Bowl ring on my finger in 2014, the way he played. So this, to me, seems outside the norm. Although in 15, he had one of these instances, is one of the reasons, I don't know if you remember, but then he got traded to the Cardinals. So there might be something going on here. And I think for Josh, you've got to address it. You can't ignore it. You've got to address it with the team, and you've got to rally. I mean, you saw it in New England with those T-shirts. There's no one coming to save us, right? You got to address all the problems, because if you think they're not going to, then they linger. Then they go forward. And you got to build a sense of belonging with your team, and you've got to get them. And I'm not saying it's me against Chandler or Chandler against the owner. I think you got to address the issues, because I think the players know what's going on. You guys know. You've been in the locker room. You know. It's different than what the media reports, And so you have to understand that. And I think you got to head it. You got to take it straight on. And that's where you have to have leadership. That's where Robert Saleh's got to take it on. Okay, guys, I'm doing this because of the quarterback. You got to explain it. That builds trust as your leadership in terms of the players. You can't just assume it's going to, okay, well, we'll cover this later. No. It's no chance.
Hey, Chandler, we miss you in the NFL, buddy.
Yeah.
I think you need to hear that. We miss watching you do your thing. You're one of the greatest of all time, brother. You're not able to do that right now. We hope you get to a point to be able to do that. Hope that message hits home, because we do miss you. And the Raiders certainly miss him as well, although it feels like that's probably never going to be a thing either. Ty has a question for you.
Lombo, when you look at the Chargers on Sunday, they kind of snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, even though Herbert, throws for 40 completions, over 400 yards. And then after the game, you look on social media and online, and everyone's talking. It's the same thing. No one really cares that the Chargers won, because people are kind of at the end of their wits with Staley and just, going for it on fourth down, relying on the analytics, all that kind of stuff. Do you think that win in Minnesota will kind of spur them moving forward, or do you think Staley's just the kind of guy who can't get out of his own way, and we're going to be talking about the same stuff with him week after week?
Yeah, I think we're going to be talking about the same stuff after week. Now, see, to me, the going for it on fourth down, to me, he talks out of both sides of his mouth on analytics, right? So here he is. He's got 7 incomplete passes in the game. The Minnesota Vikings defenders only touched the ball 3 times. The defensive backs only put their hands on the ball 3 times. So, and before the call run, they had carried the ball 14 times for 30 yards. So when they post those numbers up there, some guy on Twitter says, if they go for it, it's 88%, and they get it, they win 88%. If they don't go for it, it's 82. It's incomplete. It's an incomplete thing, because if they go for it and run it, they can't run the ball. But if they go for it and pass, it might go up to 95%. So, how do you say I stand behind the analytics when you don't apply the analytics to the game situation that you're watching?
Analytics are on every side of every argument of all time. It's amazing.
For last.
It's amazing.
Right? If you pass it there, you've got a pretty high chance you're going to get a completed pass and get more than a yard. The clock's going to stop anyway, so it's insignificant. So this is what I have a problem with Staley. He hides behind the analytics and say this, but then he behaves in a play call that is non-analytical. Because why would you call a run when you're averaging less than 2 yards a run? Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's a 13% difference, too, if it's 82 to 95, especially with the throw in there. So are we really taking the analytics to the next level, or just the basic level of what's higher, what's lower? A lot of his decisions, though, he says are for his team, so he wants his team to know that he believes in them, and defense to know he believes in them. We talked about this a few times this week, but I think Chargers fans are at the point, too, where they're this was cute.
Yeah,
this was cute at one point.
Nobody believes it. Nobody on that sideline believed in it. Look at the effort on the play. They couldn't even get it back to the line of scrimmage, and they hand the ball off to Kelly as a fullback spot. Look, what people don't realize is Kirk Cousins has been remarkable. I mean, he's got better numbers than Tua does in terms of yards. Now, they've turned the ball over 6 times inside the 10-yard line. That's what's killing them. They have 7 fumbles as a football team, Minnesota as a team. If Minnesota wins that game, we would be happy. That's why, as a coach and as an executive, you got to watch the game as if you don't know the score, because that's the only way you make good decisions. And if you watch that tape, you know really what happened. They got fortunate.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, this whole Brandon Staley, Justin Herbert, because when you look at him, and he was on our show, he's very nice to us. The Chargers have been very nice to us, so we appreciate him. So I don't love saying this. But you just look at him and look at the way he acts, you go, can he win a Super Bowl? You know, like that, because that's everybody's goal, especially whenever you pay Herbert the amount of money that you just paid Herbert.
You know,
and they pay everybody. Like, we're trying to win a Super Bowl. Do you think he can win a Super Bowl? I guess we'll find out. But a lot of the decisions are making, it's like,
well, let's go to the opening game. I mean, they got the ball with 1:46 to go. They got timeouts, and they can't move they could beat Miami, for all the talk about Miami, and I think Miami's great. But Miami could be 2-1 if they just execute a 2-minute drive. And Herbert throws the ball, an intentional grounding call that kills them. Then they give up a sack. They start the drive out. So there's a lot of details that you watch when you watch this Charger team play that don't seem to get covered, and they hide behind the analytics. Well, the analytics says we should do this. Well, I mean, they're 1-2, and Herbert hasn't even thrown an interception yet.
It's unbelievable. And if Herbert doesn't ever win one, all anybody's going to say is, well, the people that are running the entire thing. And I think that's where we're at now. We're in the middle of that going, is this the right setup for the talent that they have on the team, especially at the quarterback position? We shall see. Still early in the season. Yep. And there's always I don't want to be a results-oriented person, because any fake, if it would work, genius.
Yeah.
Any go for it, if it works, genius. If it doesn't work, dumbest dude of all time. Feels like he has a lot of those. You know what I mean? There's a lot of those stacking up. At some point,
if he would have thrown it, I wouldn't have complained. I really wouldn't have. I thought it was a dumb decision, but if he throws it, I wouldn't have complained. But to me, analytics is applied to the game situation, not 1,000 games. Because if you can't block the right tackle, or if you can't block the end, what good is doing what you want to do?
Well, the analytics say
nobody completes the sentence, and the analytics, they're like the Wizard of Oz. They hide behind a curtain and say, well, we should go for it. Okay, what play do you want to run? Like people that say, well, you should do this with Zach. Oh, what play do you want to call? Like, tell me a play to call here.
Isn't it players, not plays, right? So if you're going to do that, just put big people in there, run fullback in the flat. We've never stopped it. You can never stop. 0 for 2 million.
Or do the tush
or play action, put the fullback in the flat. And then he can run. If it's not there, you just run the sprint right option.
Yeah, but the analytics.
How many times how many times has Andy Reid called sprint right option? And you know it's coming.
Can't stop it.
Yeah, well, my thing is, I'd like to see Justin Herbert have success.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever we need to do that, let's do that. If it's going for it in the fourth quarter in your own end, up, and choosing to do the wrong thing, let's not do that anymore. But that has been the problem. Things have happened, and Staley hasn't learned from them. You know what I mean? Like, how about he does his own analytics on his own? Like, hey, our team, whenever we go for it on fourth, we seem to be doing this at this rate, this at this rate. Last question here for you from Tone Diggs.
Yeah, Lombo, we kind of talked about the Browns defense a little bit earlier, but Roquan Smith came out and said that they're going to go to Cleveland and beat their asses in front of their wives and kids. I wanted to know what you thought about the Browns and Ravens game. I find it very interesting. And what's the Ravens offense look like with Monken now coming in this year?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, last week, they played without a left tackle. I mean, the Colts embarrassed their left tackle. This week, they think Ronnie Stanley will play, and Lindstrom and Linderman will play too. So they need him back, right? And I think when you watch this Browns defense, they do a great job of moving Garrett around. Look, Lamar as a dog is a pretty good thing. I mean, you still got to stop Lamar. It looks good on paper, but you got to handle him. And this Raven team in the secondary, the best game that Deshaun Watson played last year as a Cleveland Brown was the game against Baltimore. It wasn't great by any means, threw for 161 yards, but it was his best game. I think that these are the kind of games that go back and forth. I think it's a field goal game all the way around. It's tough to predict, but this Cleveland defense is for real. And Deshaun's going to have to play as good as he did last week, if not better.
Okay, let's go into the weekend on your picks. Just a quick one. I know you got to go here.
Yeah, I love the Giants this week. I think it's a pick'em game.
Yeah.
I like the Giants this week. Oh, it's 1.5 here. So I still like the Giants. I think they're a good play. The team, I like Minnesota at 4 too, Pat. I think Minnesota is much better than Carolina. Carolina's beat up in the secondary. I think Minnesota is going to take advantage of it. They're ready to explode. I like those two games the best.
Okay, we appreciate that. How did you do last weekend?
Thanks, guys.
How did you do?
Well, I was 0 for 2, but I was 0 for 2 last week. The Packer game, you could have got the Packers in the 1.5 at the end. But when you got it on the clip on there, was
yeah. What's that?
You done taking the Broncos, Lumba?
Yeah, you're out on them, huh?
I am done with the Broncos. There's no way you could talk me into the Broncos this week. I mean, I thought for sure they would run the football. But no, and I don't want to touch. I really like Miami. I just don't want to touch that game. That game's going to go back and forth.
+3, right? I mean, Dolphins are getting 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you, Michael
Thanks,
Lombardi.
guys.
Yeah, Lumbo.
Okay, let's talk about a couple of the things that you talked about in there because I know that you have a take. Zach Wilson, and he said, hey, probably going to get benched in the second quarter potentially for Trevor Siemian if things don't go well because it's going to get so loud, not only in the stands, but also on the sideline potentially. You have a belief that it don't matter, right? Ain't that right, Chuck, after the film you watch?
No, Lombo's right. I mean, you trot Brady out there if Aaron's healthy. Look, Aaron got hit. How many times? He played 4 snaps, right, to start the season. How many times did he get hit?
3.
So all they didn't Bob put the whole offensive line on blast, on hard knock, call them all out, right?
Yes.
So we all know that's the problem. So to me, you just go back. I just watched the first 3 series of that game last week. He didn't have a chance. They didn't block anybody from New England. Didn't block anybody. He's got no time. He's got a chance. He's got time on one throw on a 3rd and 10 and throws a beautiful out route. The kid's got NFL arm talent.
We know that because the BYU.
Okay, so he's got NFL arm talent, but I don't care who you put out there right now behind that offensive line. I'd hate to be Breece Hall. They say, hey, Cook looks like hell. Shit. Walter Payton would look like hell behind that offensive line.
Yeah, it's kind of being disguised in the conversation because Saleh's taking a lot of heat and Zach Wilson isn't liked going into this year by the fan base because they assume he's already been a bust. And Lombardi says this don't matter if it was any of that. And that might be the case because I think Darius watched a bunch of his film and said, hey, he's making the same mistakes in the 3rd quarter that he was making in the 1st quarter. Like, that's the difference between NFL guy and non-NFL guy. But what Chuck's saying is that offensive line is the biggest problem on the team. I mean, we can blame Zach for sure, but it don't matter. And that was the convo going into the season.
Yeah, and the Patriots, too, what they did basically was like, okay, we're not going to let Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook run the ball, so we're going to stack this box, and then if Zach Wilson beats us, which he has not proven that he can do for his entire career, then he beats us. So it's like, even with a bad O-line against a regular front, it's one thing. But when they're stacking the box and putting pressure on him too, then it's just like he has no chance.
I think my favorite thing about it all is the fact that these fans, if Zach gets benched,
oh my God,
it's a Super Bowl.
They're going to go nuts.
That primetime game last year, when Streveler came on the field, I didn't even know Streveler was on the Jets. I assume the Jets fans did because they were buying in. He comes standing ovation.
People going nuts.
Oh, yeah. And Zach Wilson's just sitting there looking around, just getting booed out of the goddamn. I mean, what a scene over there in New York. We'll be back on the other side with AJ Hawk, Coach Nick Saban, and more coverage of tonight and all of Week 4. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice. Take 3. Obviously, this is a conversation starter for everybody when they're talking about the dynasty, and there's still Raiders fans that are pissed off about this. Here's the game plan. Go out there in the middle of a snowstorm and make a kick that you're not supposed to make at all from 45 yards.
This is the Patriots season on the line.
Do you remember this moment right here in your head? Were you scared to death? Were you fucking pumped?
I would say I was probably more scared to death as I'm watching the Tuck Rule review and realizing, holy shit, we get the ball back. Oh, yeah, by the way, it's coming all down to you, man.
This will be a 45-yard attempt. That's Vinatieri's luck from this distance of late.
Once I got out on the field, I really had 3 thoughts. First and foremost, try to attack the ball, but stay light on your feet. Just like anybody, you're running on ice. If your cleats don't stick, you're falling on the ground, and then the ball's going to end up hitting your center right in the back of the head. I wasn't thinking about missing 4 of the last 5, if that's truly what was going on. For me, it was all about, hey, you know, these guys aren't going to be able to get a good rush, get it straight and get it above the line of scrimmage. And thank goodness, as it left, and I saw that they didn't block it, then it was all about, I don't know if it's going to have enough distance in this snow, let's hope for the best. And I really didn't know until the referees at the back of the end zone raised their hands. I couldn't really see it. Couldn't tell if it was good or not.
Hell yeah, because it's a snow globe. What a kick. What a moment. Obviously, that would go on to launch a dynasty that the NFL will never see again or before. What a kick. What a moment. Here's an overtime. You got to make another one.
Substantially easier kick. Not just because of the distance, but we called a timeout. We cleaned a bunch of ground. This is the one time that a coach actually icing me probably benefited us, right? Because it gave my offensive lineman with the big size 16 cleats to get out there and move a little bit more ground. And, not to say a game winner is ever easy, but this one compared to the one quarter before that was substantially different.
So you're coming out here sighing a little bit of relief. Oh, thank God. I can see the ground. I'm not going to fall.
Right.
We've already done this.
Exactly.
This is no problem.
Tied.
And then you murder that ball dead center. And then obviously in the Super Bowl, you have like a 49-yarder that you hit at the top of the upright. Couldn't have been a better ball, I don't think. You hit it cleaner. You have something inside of you, okay, that not a lot of people have. And Joe Burrow seemingly is a guy that has it. What is that?
I would love to tell you that I was born with or I developed the ability to, be a clutch under pressure. I do think that there's certain people that are born with the want or the ability to say, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Mariano Rivera. These guys and ladies are the type of people that go, I want the game coming down to me. I want to be the reason, LeBron, I want to be the reason why we win or lose. I was kind of that same person, playing soccer as center midfield, and baseball, I either wanted to pitch or catch. I'd leave it there. I know what you're thinking. Knock it off. I know you. Anyway, but I always wanted to, be in the middle of the game and be the reason why. So
the following program is a collection of stooges talking about happenings in the sports world. It is meant to be comedic informative. The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their boss, or ESPN. There may be some cuss words because that's how humans in the real world talk. If you are young, please seek permission before watching any further.
Hey, what? Let's go.
This show stinks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for. The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers,
You pink.
Damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Sport.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to our Humble Abode, the Thunderdome, on this Coach Saban Thursday, September 28th, 2023. Hour 2 of this program starts now.
Football!
It's happening this evening, and we're very appreciative of that. The Toxic Table is here at Boston Connor wearing the same shirt he was wearing yesterday. At Tush. Different story today. Than what you were saying.
Same story as
different tune.
No, we're on camera. We're on tape.
Same story.
Everybody's seeing what you said. Ty Schmidt is here, owner of the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, a big one this evening against the Packers at home. One half of the Hammer, Dahn, Cowboys turn Diggs is here, and a man who coached football for 36 years, Coach Pagano. Joining us now from Natick in Ohio is a man who's a college football national champion, a Super Bowl champion, the all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, a COVID survivor, the current president of the state of Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Hall. AJ, how you doing, pal?
Doing great. Good to see Chuck in studio as well. What's up, Chuck?
How you doing, AJ? Good to see you.
This is
great.
good.
Always, Chuck. I appreciate you. Appreciate
really
you being
cute.
You guys.
Anything to say? Tone looks pretty good today, too, doesn't he? He looks pretty thick.
Tone looks amazing. Yes, Chuck's only there once a week, so I always want to make sure I acknowledge Chuck when he's in studio.
All right, my turn.
Hey, Con. Look great. Shirt looks great.
Thank you.
You didn't backtrack at all. I get it.
Thank you.
You saw last night his wing of the plane was potentially turning on him. They were saying a lot of stuff. Tonight, the Lions playing against the Packers. This is the first time, AJ, in 37 years where the Lions are favored playing in Lambeau against QB1 of the Packers. There's been backups for the Green Bay Packers that have had to play because of injuries, and then the Lions were favored. But this year, good on good. Lions going in, favored by 2. What are your thoughts and expectations for this evening on Prime, AJ?
Well, I mean, this is pretty crazy that the Lions are favorites going into Lambeau primetime night game.
Oh, you're like disgusted by it. How long did you play? How long did you play for
I
the Green Bay?
understand. I played 11 years, but I understand I was 9 in Green Bay. I understand why there is hype around the Lions because Jared Goff is playing well. Their defense is flying around. Like, they have a ton of studs. They really do. But I think it's a big deal for them. If they can go into Lambeau and get a big win here when they're expected to win, it'd be a huge step for them.
This guy won a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers, obviously, the all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers. So for him to learn, Lions are favored coming into our home, huh? Did you hear him? He kind of was.
Oh, yeah.
He almost like choked on his own.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on?
And AJ played against some good Lions teams, like actually good Lions teams with Stafford.
No,
that's real. That's real.
So good. All those playoff
Calvin Johnson.
All right,
Reggie Bush.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move away from
Rayola.
Yeah.
All right, let's move
John
away
Kitna.
from tonight's game. Let's chit-chat with the greatest of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an honor these first few weeks to get to have this conversation with this particular man, because this season for his team has certainly been one that the people have been chatting about.
Oh, yeah.
This past weekend, they were going to be exposed by Lane Kiffin. They were going to go in there and lose to Ole Miss, and all of a sudden this season was going to be dead. Multiple score win. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest college football coach of all time, 7-time national champion, Nick Saban.
What's up, man? How are we doing today?
Coach, you were supposed to lose. Your team was going to get exposed, and this was going to be the worst year of your life as a head coach at Alabama. That was kind of the chatter going into last week. Did you hear that? And what were your thoughts of the game, Coach?
Yeah, I hear everything. I hear pretty much everything everybody else hears, but try to stay focused on what's in front of you. And, I think there were a lot of lessons to be learned in, last week's game. First half, we really lost 7-6 and shot ourselves in the foot numerous times. And second half, we played a lot better and, won like 18-3. So I think, you ask players, okay, when it worked, why did it work? And when it didn't work, why didn't it work? So you can learn a lot from that and hopefully improve from that. And that's really what our focus is. But, the outside noise doesn't really affect me. I don't, sometimes they say a lot of good stuff. I don't let that affect me. And sometimes they say a lot of bad stuff, and I don't let that affect me. So try to focus on what's in front of you.
Well, I love the fact that you get incredibly uncomfortable when we go, like, hey, you're the greatest of all time. Yeah, you are. Like, you get so uncomfortable. Whenever I did it on the stage down there at Tuscaloosa, I felt you starting to be like, just stop doing what you're doing. And I appreciate that. That type of humility is what drives you to your success. And you said you try to keep the outside noise out. This past weekend in college football, the outside noise was the discussion. I don't know if you got a chance to hear about this. Ryan Day called out 86-year-old Lou Holtz immediately after the game because Lou Holtz on our show, talking to an impersonator of Lou Holtz at this exact time, said that the Ohio State team has been out-toughed by Alabama and Georgia and Michigan. And Ryan Day heard that Lou Holtz said that they were out-toughed and they weren't a tough team. And his first thing was, I hope Lou Holtz saw this. It's Ohio versus the world. Then the Washington State coach got mad at Lee Corso, 88 years old, for saying that their team, nobody wants to watch us, which wasn't what Coach Corso said. But, it feels like coaches, since the beginning of time, have been using outside noise as motivators. You said you try to keep it all outside. Is there ever a moment or time where it's right to bring it in? Because obviously both those teams got big-time wins, but is there a time to utilize outside noise to motivate the team, and how do you go about doing that, Coach?
I think ideally you'd like for everything to be intrinsic, all of us, like our motivation comes within us because of what we want to accomplish and what we want to do. But in the reality of the world, especially with young people today, because everybody kind of grows up getting a lot of positive self-gratification or negative self-gratification from what somebody else thinks, whether it's Twitter, some internet device, whatever it is, ESPN, what people say about you. So to ignore the fact that people are affected by external factors, I think is not smart in this day and age. And I think you do have to use those things sometimes as A, rat poison when it's good, but B, sometimes as a motivating factor when you're getting dogged a little bit out there for, something that you're not doing correctly.
Yeah, and I love the Ryan Day because the state of Ohio, as you know, growing up in West Virginia, Ohio views themselves as tough. You know what I mean? Hey, we're tough people. In Ohio State, this is tough. And Lou Holtz was like, Just not a tough team. It's not. And Ryan Day was like, I hate this guy. It was amazing. Team rallied, though. Big time win. AJ has a question for you, Coach.
Coach, an argument that comes up on this show every once in a while in NFL and college football are halftime adjustments. And I'm just curious, you mentioned teams playing different between the first and second half. Can you explain a little bit maybe what happens at halftime and if adjustments are a huge thing that can kind of spur your team to have a better second half?
Yeah, I think number one is you got to get really good information and have everybody assigned to some sort of detail of what they need to get when the first half is happening. So every play that happened in the first half, we actually have drawn up, on a template that we can show the players, and we can say, okay, this is what they're trying to do. This is what we need to adjust to. Same thing on offense. We got a template where, okay, they ran this stunt, they're running this blitz. This is different. What we practice against, this is what we have to do. So the first thing is you got to get good information. And people have to be disciplined in getting that information throughout the first half, and then you present it to the players. And then if there's something in that requires an adjustment, like I'll use an example, like how are we playing bunch passes on defense? Well, they're running a pattern that the way we're playing the bunch pass, it's tough. So we got to say, okay, we're going to go play it this way. And I think if you have the right information, you can make those kind of adaptations and adjustments at halftime. And we always try to put a plan together on offenses. Okay, how do we want to start the second half? Everybody talks about we got this 20-play script, that we're going to start the game with. Well, how about having a script for how you want to start the second half based on the information that you got in the first half? And I think all those things can be beneficial to you in terms of the way you go out and start.
Got to have the right people with the eyes, though, right? Giving you the right information. That's an incredible job.
That's the number one thing. Yeah. And, hey, you got to train your eyes. People take it for granted that just because you're a coach in the press box, you grew up watching football just like everybody else. How does everybody watch football? They watch the ball. They look at the ball. They watch the quarterback. He throws it. They see him catch it. They watch the ball. They see the guy running with the ball, whatever. Well, when you're getting the right information, your eyes cannot be on the ball. Your eyes have to be on a specific thing that you're looking at so that you get the right information. And that takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, and that's one thing we've talked about this I don't have, because I'll tell you what, I'm like a dog looking at a treat with that ball. I'm just following that thing around. They got other stuff happening behind the scenes, I'm sure. That's about halftime conversations. Let's talk about pregame conversations. Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, another big talking point in the college football landscape this week was Dan Lanning before the Oregon-Colorado game, and the ESPN cameras in there got him. And a lot of people, were up in arms saying, oh, he's being disrespectful or this or that, when in reality I think he's just kind of trying to motivate his guys and knowing exactly what he needs to say to get them ready to play a big game. Do you have any, and you don't strike me as like a rah-rah guy before the games, but do you have any opinion on when you are, kind of in that intimate situation in the locker room trying to get your guys prepared for a game, and whatever something you may say is picked up by like a camera or an ESPN camera or CBS or whoever it may be, and then it's leaked out to the media and the public, and it kind of gets a much bigger conversation going around it than maybe you anticipated?
Right. Well, first of all, I'm not a big rah-rah guy. I try to instill a message on Monday. I try to reinforce that message on Friday when we have a team meeting. And then what I say to the team before we go out usually is along those lines. But I also think that there is sacred time. You guys, most of you guys played.
Yes, sir.
All right. So sacred time that a coach, the players, things that get said in the locker room, whether it's halftime, right before the game, or whatever. And I know the media wants to have access to all these things because it makes it interesting for the fans, and I appreciate that, and I understand that. But there's still this sacred time where you should be able to talk to your team and say things to your team to motivate your team that maybe they're not disrespectful about the other, but
maybe
it's not for anybody else to know, And I understand what Dan Lanning was trying to say, and it was probably good for his team to hear in some ways, but it probably wasn't good for everybody else to hear. And, that's always the argument. Where does the access, where do you draw the line and say, okay, there's got to be some time when you can talk to your team and say what you have to say, and it's really not for everybody else to hear.
We don't know if Dan wanted it out or not. Coach Dan wanted it out or not. We have not heard from him. There's some people that say, yeah, he wanted that out. That's why he was actually his good side. People are saying that was actually his good side. That's why they put it out there. But my first instinct, as soon as I heard it, I was like, I wish I didn't get a chance to see. Like, that's him talking to his. Is that a conversation between who? Media and coach? Like, when's that decision made on if that goes out, especially in this modern world?
Well, in the modern world, I think you can use the media to send a message to your team. I don't think you need to do that right before the game. I mean, that's something you do on Monday when you talk to the press or whatever, and you want to get a message out there because your team's going to hear that message. So you can reinforce it in a team meeting, but you want everybody to be thinking that way. And sometimes you want your fans to think that way too, so that rat poison doesn't get to them.
Yeah, I'm intrigued about the behind the scenes on how that got out, because I don't think Dan wanted that out. But people think Dan wanted it out. Doesn't matter because they beat the hell out of Colorado. You know what I mean? And also the things that Colorado was saying in the back made that game even bigger. But I'm very interested how coaches draw inspiration to galvanize an entire team. It's not easy at all. So the fact that you've done it for so long and are still doing it, bravo. A lot of work. AJ has a question for you, Coach.
Coach, you mentioned you try to give your team a message on Monday and then reinforce it on Friday. How do you come up with these messages? Do you plan these in the off season, or just come up like week by week when you see, hey, this is what we need to focus on?
Well, I actually use other people to try to stimulate my thoughts as to, what I should or shouldn't say and how I should say it. And I have a sports psychologist, a sports psychiatrist that I talk to probably 2 or 3 times a week. And between us, between the circumstance that you're in, the team that you're playing, the outside noise that most people are hearing, including your team, you try to come up with a message that is a positive one to help them move forward. So I don't try to invent all this stuff on my own. Now, but, we had like 14 speakers in fall camp. And a lot of them were inspirational speakers. I sit in the front row every day and I take notes on everything that every guy says. And if there's any bit of that information that I could use down the road to reinforce to players, because they're going to hear it, but they're not going to remember it 2 months from now. I'm always gathering information. I'm always reading books about, how do you affect human behavior, because that's what we're talking about. You guys just call it motivation, but you're really trying to affect human behavior in a positive way so people can get the most out of their talent and ability. I think we talked about this before. Human nature is to survive. It's not to win the championship. It's to survive. It's to do what you have to do to survive. And, you tell a guy, if you sell 10 cars, you get to go to a trip to Bahamas. When after he sells 10 cars, he's going home and sit in his chair and eat Tostitos and drink beer. He's not going to try to set the record, all right, for how many cars you could sell in a month. All right, that's human nature. That's normal. So we're trying to take people from normal human nature to be the best you can be. And we sometimes assume, all of us, that just because someone has talent, they want to be the best that they can be. But that's not necessarily the case. So you're always trying to close that gap. I call it capability gap. What are you capable of versus what are you doing? All right, and you're always trying to close that gap. And if you can do that and get everybody to buy into that, then your team starts playing to their potential. And individuals do too. And it creates value for them to do it as well as the team.
Anybody that you've not been able to reach that like you kind of got bummed out about, or on the flip side, somebody that was maybe tough to reach that you did reach and became a great success story? I assume that's in abundance, but anybody come to the top of your mind in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to mention any names, but, we've had numerous what I call energy vampires. That you're taking all your time trying to close this gap. And you never seem to be able to affect it. And we always have, 4 or 5 guys on your team that are that way. They're very talented guys, but yet they don't seem to be able to get it right the way you'd like for them to, or the way that would benefit them. But we've had a lot of guys, and this happens because we have a lot of help from a psychological standpoint to get guys to turn around and to be able to understand, what they have to do to be a good player, and they respond to it. And, I don't want to mention any names, but we've had quite a few guys. And I think one of the things that have helped us be successful through the years is the ability to get those kind of guys to play well and to be consistent and develop the kind of competitive character that you need to, be a consistently good player.
Coach, you don't like compliments. Here comes one right down the pipe. So I forget when it was. It was a couple years ago. You and I had not met each other yet. I knew a lot about you. You had not known that I existed, but that's because you had been at the top of the world, and I was a punter in Indianapolis that had been arrested for public intoxication and wears a tank top. But I saw you do a press conference after one of your players got arrested for something. Okay. And you said, what am I supposed to do? Throw this guy back to the streets? Is that what you want me to do? Do you want to, or maybe do you want to give us a chance to teach this human how to be a productive member of society? It was like, I don't know how many coaches would take a stand like that for their player. And as soon as I saw it, I thought to myself, that's the realest mother, that I have ever seen in my life. And I think all of us appreciate that in your dedication to making people better. And on the psychology side of this thing, what do you think you learned from Milroe this past weekend after what happened at UCF whenever he didn't play, or USF, I'm sorry. Was it USF?
USF.
Yeah.
USF, you had that rain. You looked so cool in that rain. I think I told you that last week. So after USF, you played Buckner and the other guy. Simpson, the other guy. And then Milroe becomes the starter the next week. We ask you about it, and you say Michael Jordan, when he went into the Hall of Fame, brought the coach that benched him, brought his college coach, brought his NBA coach, and that's who he had with him. And you said you were excited to see how Milroe responded. I think he completed 80% of his passes, had one interception, obviously can't happen, get a big-time win. What did you learn from him through that entire process? Maybe from a psychology standpoint that makes you say, hey, yeah, we got a guy now with Milroe.
Yeah, well, let me make a comment about the first thing you talked about.
Okay.
I think that the media and a lot of folks out there think that discipline is punishment. Discipline is doing something to somebody that will change their behavior to help them be more successful. So it's no different than raising kids. All right. So you want your kids to do a certain thing. All right. Spanking them is not going to get them to do that. But maybe a lesson to be learned that would help them develop and have a chance to be more successful in the future. So, discipline is really not punishment. Discipline is, doing something to somebody. Maybe you take something away from them that's meaningful to them that changes their behavior, so they have a better chance to be successful in the future. So I just wanted to make that comment.
No, but it was awesome. Hey, when you did that, I think every player that's ever played football, I think AJ was even nodding his head yes. As soon as we saw it, we're like, thank you for not just giving up on a guy, pretty much. Completely. He was 18 years old. That was beautiful, Coach. You need to know that.
Yeah. So, and then Jalen Milroe, I think he learned some things. We all learned some things. By playing other quarterbacks, we learned what they could do. We could make a good evaluation of what's the best way for our team to move forward relative to who plays quarterback. And Jalen understood that, exactly what we were doing. He responded the right way to it. And it was obvious that he's the best guy for us to be able to move forward as a team. And we have to do things that he can do because he's a great athlete. He's a good passer. But we have to do things that he can do in his growth and development so that he can be successful. And that's what I learned about him last week. And one of the things that he had to overcome, and he did in last week's game, is when he threw an interception against Texas, the first one that he threw, it affected him in the game. And when he threw the interception last week against Ole Miss, down in the red zone, it didn't affect him in the game. And that's one of the things that we've been trying to sort of instill in him is, you can't be affected. When you play quarterback, you're going to make a lot of good plays and you're going to make some not so good plays sometimes, but you always got to play the next play and you got to refocus and you don't have to press. It's almost like, and I've said this before, the quarterback's got to have a point guard sort of mentality. You don't have to score 35 points in a game to be a great point guard. If you get 13 assists, you play good defense, you don't turn the ball over, then you played a good game because you distributed the ball to the right guys and they're able to score, and you don't turn it over. So that's what we need to do. We don't have to be the shooting guard and be a hero and score 35 points in a game. Don't play defense. Take chances that you don't need to be taking bad shots, being a hero because you want to score 35 points in the game. But you don't do anything else to help your team. And everybody else is standing around while you're dribbling the ball around trying to figure out how I'm going to get a shot. All right, so that's a part of the process to me of growing and developing as a quarterback. You distribute the ball to somebody every play. So no different than a point guard in basketball. So the more we can get that accomplished, and guys that are great athletes sometimes think, I got to make the play. I got to make the play. No, you don't have to make the play. You got to distribute the ball so that everybody can make plays, and you're going to have plenty of opportunity to make plays.
Okay. Well, I'm happy you learned that. That's an incredible – I love the thought of you going, and everybody else is just looking at you. I need a shot. I need a shot. I need to get the damn ball here. Little pickup talk there about football this weekend. You're trying to knock out the entire egg. What's that?
Basketball all the time. Some of these guys dribble the ball across half court. I'm not mentioning any names. The other standing around, all right, and the guy's dribbling trying to get a shot, and they're standing around. So you're not playing any team ball.
You're sick of it. Yeah, let's get the ball around.
Yeah.
Let's move a little bit.
Pass it.
I love that is your theory and what you're teaching to Milroe, because I think Milroe has probably been the best athlete on any field he's ever played in any sport since he was a kid. It's like, hey, we need you to do everything. Now it's like, hey, bub, we need you to kind of get rid of that, even though that's a good mentality to have, and make the entire team better. Going into Mississippi State this weekend, try and knock off the entire Egg Bowl in back-to-back weeks. Ole Miss down Mississippi State. A lot of cowbells, Coach. It's going to be loud. What's the messaging to the team this weekend?
Well, first of all, what I said in the beginning, we have to build on the fact that we have to get better execution on a more consistent basis. And this team is a pressure team. On defense, they're pressuring all the time. They blitz all the time. They've got a lot of different looks. They do a lot of different things. So execution becomes even more important because they're going to try to give you bad plays. You got to minimize that. And then you got to take advantage of explosive plays when you get the opportunity to do it. And this team really, to me, is better than all the teams that we played so far, except Texas, in terms of the caliber of players, how they play, how tough they are, how physical they play. We're playing an SEC game on the road and a tough place to play. So this is not anything that requires any kind of a mental letdown. This is a build on the second half of what we did last week and understand why we did it and be able to continue to do it and not get frustrated in this game because of what might happen, because they're going to create some plays, but we can't get frustrated. We got to keep playing the next play. We got to play for 60 minutes, and that's what it's going to take in this game because they're a physical team. They're a good team. I mean, South Carolina game, they turned the ball over a couple times down in the red zone, or that's a different game. So this is a good team.
You going to have cowbells at practice all week? Is that what we've been doing?
Noise is noise. We can't manufacture cowbells, but we can make noise.
Oh, that's awesome. Coach, you're the best. Today was like a gospel on coaching.
Yeah.
You were the man. Thank you for taking time. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, the GOAT, Coach Nick Saban.
Yeah, Coach.
Hey, he went on a run there, Chuck, okay? And I know you coached for 36 years there. But as he was talking about the capability area, and trying to fill the gap there, the capability gap, it feels like that's a descriptor that I've not heard for a while. But he broke down coaching from his mentality. Is that kind of how everybody views coaching? And the way he worded it there really, that thing struck home with me. I thought I was listening to a preacher preach there about how to coach, Chuck.
Yeah, that's why he's the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
And that's why everybody wants to know, and get a behind-the-scenes look at Nick Saban and how he thinks. But, coming up with the message, AJ's question, like, what's your message? That was always, like, the biggest challenge. Developing players, building relationships with players, figuring out, how to coach certain guys. Because you can be hard on some guys, and some other guys you can't be hard on. So you got to figure out the guy. You got to build a relationship. And I think Nick does a great job of that. He figures his guys out. He builds a relationship with them. And then he figures out, okay, what buttons do I need to hit with this guy and be able to get him to his ceiling, no matter what that ceiling is. But trying to figure out messages week in and week out. You can have so many signs and all these sayings, and you go through some of these buildings, and there's like, this one here, that one there, and hey, we're that. Like, if you think of Bill Belichick, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do your job.
What is the culture in 3 words? Bill Belichick's culture.
Do your job.
Simple. And then he just figures out, okay, how am I going to keep reteaching this day to day? But it's never changed. Nick's got a culture down there, and he doesn't. Hey, this week we're this week we're that. Blah blah blah. No, this is our culture. This is how you're going to act in this building, perform in this building. This is how we're going to do meetings, walk through, practice, all that stuff. But then you got guys like the psychologist.
Yeah, that was really interesting. I was about to ask you, AJ. Did you expect that answer? I did not expect him to say, I got sports psychologists and sports psychiatrists 3 times a week. We're kind of meeting with him. I wanted to ask him, like, when did you bring that into your life, into your building? Because that wasn't something that was being thought about 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago at all. It's like, what a weapon that is. And then you hear him start talking. It's like, hey, it's a professional outfit down there. The way they operate, they're talking to adults, it feels like, and we just need you to get the best you possible. Did any of that hit home for you, AJ?
Yeah, it was cool. I definitely didn't expect him. I was glad to hear. He said he's working with a sports psychologist, psychiatrist to try to it sounds like everything he does, like, what can I do to help these kids, to help my team and help them like as humans and as players? That's what it feels like. And 2 to 3 times a week too. Like, how do those meetings go? What are they doing? I think it's cool because you see Nick Saban, like, we call him the GOAT. Obviously, the guy's unbelievable in what he's done in his career, but he's telling us, hey, I'm reaching out. I'm seeking other people to try to gain information always. And he's been doing this for so long and always telling you, he's like, hey, I'm not inventing things. I'm just trying to figure out how to get these points across to my players.
Just a West Virginia boy at heart, humble. His humility has remained through there. I talked about that when I complimented him on the stage, how visibly uncomfortable he got.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like right before he
could feel it. You could feel it. He was like squirming. He could feel it.
Yeah, I've never had that before because normally I could come in big and just be like, how about you? And then just like kind of like let them know, I know, I've done my research. I know you. I respect you. You kind of hear it in my intros. When I intro people, that's me letting them know like, hey, I got respect for everything you've kind of accomplished. It's how I've always been. This is just how I talk. Some people hate it, but some people, it's an easy way to kind of break through and let people know I'm not the enemy here. I'm on your side. So it's a little bit of a tactic. So that was my first time meeting Saban, and everybody's like, how are you going to act when you act with Saban? I'm like, I don't know, man. Same way I've acted with every human I've ever met in my entire life. And I go up to him, I'm like, how about you? West Virginia who goes on to become this, and then you're still grinding away at this thing. Your work ethic is stupid. Like, thank you for joining us. All right, I made a big mistake. Is what he was doing. And then he sits down, and then the crowd goes crazy, and then we're right into it. It's like, I hope this goes better than that. Right. I hope this goes better than that one or whatever. I think he is starting to understand who we are, what we are. But the more I hear him talk, it's like, this is what this guy was supposed to do.
Yeah.
This guy was supposed to be a football coach, and he will be forever.
Well, and that's what was cool is like you can kind of see right there, I think, why he likes coaching in college and maybe didn't like the NFL as much because obviously, like he's talking about that gap. I assume one of the biggest differences, like in the NFL, you have a guy. It's like, hey, guess what? We're not spending a bunch of time on this guy trying to like diminish that gap. Like if this guy can't play, he can't play, and he's out of here. There's no like, hey, we'll bring him along his freshman year, his sophomore year, and try to like kind of bring out who this guy really could be. Like you're not doing that in the NFL. It's like, hey, if this guy can't play, he can't play. He's out of here. In college, you can actually like point at a guy and be like, hey, there's something there, and he's maybe not quite there yet, but if we work on this guy a little bit, we can get him where we think he could be.
That speech when the guy got arrested,
sweet,
and he like stood by his guy publicly when it would have been very easy. Very easy.
For most do.
Especially with how deep that Alabama roster is. Like lose one 5-star guy. Okay, we got more.
Yeah.
Could have, and instead he like sticks his neck out for this guy pretty much, and then gives like a lesson on like, this is how real life is actually. Like the guys that we're all cheering for on Saturdays, I'm not going to say all of them, but 70% of the guys that you're watching in college football come from some pretty, tough backgrounds, pretty tough. And life could go one direction, and life could also go the complete opposite direction. So whenever you talk about all these stats and statistics and you watch the news and you watch documentaries about things that are happening in these cities, like some of these guys could be characters in those documentaries.
Yeah.
Is that what you're wishing for? Do you want me to take a stand and just be like, hey, here's no chance at having a good life or changing your future? Like, I appreciated him doing that, especially because we've been in the locker room and befriended a lot of these guys. Like, I'm from Pittsburgh. Obviously, Pittsburgh is the way it is. It is a blue-collar town. We come from a working-class community, everything like that. But I go to West Virginia, I meet guys from Compton, right? I'm smoking black and milds with guys from Compton. I'm down there in South Florida, taking trips down there to see it. It's like, I've been the only Caucasian in a radius of like 15 miles before in south side of Chicago. Like, the locker room, you get to meet these people and you see how close the line is to potentially complete opposite way. I'm experiencing it right now with a couple of my former teammates, literally in this exact moment, about what could happen going one way or the other. So when I saw Saban do that, I think that was the first time where I was like, all right, I love this guy. Like, I appreciate this guy, because it would have been very easy to go the opposite direction, AJ. You know what I mean?
I think in that when he made those comments too, he referenced an old player he had at Michigan State that he kind of gave a second chance to, and then the guy went on. I think it was a receiver. I'm not 100% sure, but he gave on to talk about this guy's life and what he has made from his life, and he only made one mistake in college. Like, what would happen if I did kick him out? Then if we didn't give this guy another chance, he wouldn't have this crazy life. But we know there's certain things that are unforgivable that people do, and you got to boot them off the team and see it. But some things, there's a fine line. There's a balance with all those things.
Yeah, we had this trailer park white trash kid who every single other school removed a scholarship offer.
Yeah.
Except for West Virginia. You know what I mean? West Virginia was the only place. So, like, Rich Rod at the time literally was the only human that was giving this guy an opportunity, because and then you saw him, like, be very appreciative of it and learn from whatever he did in high school that gets in there. It's like, football is an opportunity for a lot of people. It's also a life lesson, a life course on, hey, here's discipline. Here's how you interact with people that you might not know a lot about. Here's how you handle interviews. Here's how you do this. It's like, that was cool. That needs to get talked about more, because I don't know how many people, would be able to do that, because obviously the school has to be able to kind of get your back there too. But also those who would have the credibility enough to say, yeah, I will do this without getting cooked for it. And I don't know if people try to cook him for it or not. I just remember my reaction was, I love this guy. Let's move back to the NFL here. Kirk Cousins, Michael Lombardi talked about earlier. He's playing phenomenal football, and the Vikings are losing. They were 11-0 last year in one-score games. This year they're 0-3 already, 3 games in one-score games. Complete opposite. You know, as they say, easy come, easy go. Water finds its level. Kirk's playing well. Kirk chatted after the Chargers game, and somebody needs to check on Kirk Cousins. Here's him after the Chargers game.
How hard is it to watch tape when you know the result from last week, especially those last 2 possessions? How hard is it to sit down and go through that?
Man, I said to Alec when we did an interview this August, I hope my boys find something they're as passionate about as I am about football, but I hope it doesn't torment them the way football torments me. I mean, I'm crawling in my skin driving home from the stadium on Sunday, in the last 2 days. So you got to get back up on the horse on Wednesday morning and come back to work. But golly, you're sitting there in meetings and you're just, you're just frustrated. And that's part of it, because it matters to you and it should hurt. But I'm always reminded, in March, April, when you're saying we're going to go another time around the horn, you're signing up for some frustrations here and there and some moments that you wish you could have back. So that's where we are right now, and I'm thankful that we've been as explosive as an offense as we have been. There's a lot to build on, but got to put it all together. 4 quarters, all phases of football, red zone, third down, short yardage, first, second down, run game, pass game. That's no easy task.
Talking about the game tormenting you, just how much better have you gotten at being able to move on and let that go by come Wednesday?
You have to ask my wife. She'd probably be able to tell you if I'm getting better. I'm trying, but I think it goes both ways, right? On one hand, you're further along in your football career, so you feel like you're getting better at it. On the other hand, you're further along in your football career, so you realize you're running out of time. And I think it's both sides of that. I think when you're younger, you maybe are a little more willing to shrug your shoulders and know there's more games up ahead. And I think when you're older, you're like, it's now. It's got to be now. And I was saying that last year too. Like, the Adam Thielens won't be here forever. Let's do it now. And And so you feel that too. But this league will beat you up. It'll test you, and it takes grit, takes toughness, and that's another trait I want to see in my boys. So I gotta model it for them, on a daily, weekly basis.
I love what he said there. Sounds like an old ass man. I got a chance to go to the Super Bowl my rookie year with the Indianapolis Colts, and I was a literal dipshit that didn't even know how to do my job. So I didn't even know how to punt. Like, a ball would go good, sweet. I don't know why that happened. Ball would go bad, I have no idea why that happened. Kind of an easy life when you don't know, but also potentially stressful. We get to the Super Bowl my rookie year, we lose. I go, boys, let's run this thing back. Let's run this thing back next year.
Don't worry.
2 years later, we're almost completely defeated. Okay? And then we have new coach, new GM, new everything. Make it back to the AFC Championship game, and then we're chasing that for the rest of the time. So it's like, I think as you get older, you realize, like, hey, we got a team that can do this. This is a team that can do this. We need to do this because who knows what's going to happen literally next year. In this particular case, Kirk Cousins might not be with the Vikings next year. We have no idea what the Vikings look like going forward. What are your thoughts on Kirk Cousins? And do you think the Vikings are going to be able to right the ship, A.J. Hawk?
I mean, we will see. I mean, Kirk, that's what's crazy. Putting up great numbers. Looks like he's playing well. They have no wins right now. And all that press conference just reinforced to me that no matter how much you're getting paid, it sucks to lose. Like, it's just not, it's no fun. And I understand. I'm not saying you got to feel bad for players making millions of dollars, losing games, but it does. Like, wherever you are, no matter what the situation's like around you, if you're losing, nobody's happy and nobody's having fun.
I think he's got a beautiful fire pit.
Yeah, he
I
does.
saw that on a quarterback.
Yes, he does.
Nice fire, Coop.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good fire, Coop.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a great house, too.
Yeah, he does. Oh, yeah.
Great
Wonderful.
house.
Nice beach house.
Family.
Great family. Everything's. But
Well-
you lose a game. Oh, buddy. It'll take over.
Yeah, remember the 24-hour rule?
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, that's
24
real.
after a win, you're in the locker room, AJ. Hey, 24 hours, boom, easy, right? But it doesn't apply after a loss.
Real life.
Or 2 loss, or 3 loss. I mean, it's till that next Sunday, that next Monday, that next Thursday, and you have a chance to
They're
get
talking
back
about
up there
Kirk
right
maybe
to-
being traded. What do you think about that?
Well, that's the thing. You were saying, hey, next year, shit might be next week for him. So you got to relish.
You think the Vikings are looking into that?
I don't know.
Pending Sunday.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, depending on how things start to go. And then, like Kevin O'Connell, is it?
Yeah, KOC.
Yeah. So they won how many games last year?
13.
Yep.
13, right? The year before he got there, how many was Zim? And Zim did a great
I think
job.
it was 7 and 9.
So,
yeah.
so going from 7 to 9 or 10,
we might be wrong. It might be
or
5.
3 to 8,
Could be.
3 to 9s. But now to improve on 13, like impossible. Now they start 0 and 3.
Yeah.
To your point about the 11 and 0 in one-score games, now they're 0 and 3 in one-score games. That's just how this game is. Because now everybody's got a book on you. They know you as a head coach. They know you as a play caller. They got a new defense coordinator. So, yeah, anything's possible in National Football League. He could be gone in 2 weeks.
They're going to pay legit. Anything is possible. I saw Peyton Manning get cut. But, yeah, I mean, Kirk could get traded. And the Jets allegedly would be the team that would want to do it. And Shefty said, let's just wait a couple more weeks to see how this whole thing pans out. It's like, well, if the Jets lose a couple more, when is it worth it? When is it not worth it? And what if he goes there and does well? What happens for next year's deal? Is he just a free agent? He got a chance to take a test drive with the New York Jets football team for the rest of the year. Is he going to be able to learn the new offense just in the middle of the season with enough time to kind of take over there? And is the offensive line good enough for Kirk Cousins not to die? I mean, I just don't see all that, but I do question the mentality of we're going to pay Justin Jefferson $30, $40 million a year.
Yep. Have to.
And then you're just going to assume you're going to be able to get a quarterback that's going to be able to get him the ball? Because you paid Devontae Adams that massive deal.
Yeah.
Right? Massive deal. And then they didn't even have a quarterback there for a bit.
No.
And then they bring in Jimmy G, and last year goes how it goes or whatever. This year it seems like it's going better for Devontae, but it's like unless you're sure you're going to have a guy that can get the ball to the wide receiver, that's a wild move. I guess they just assume you could draft a guy, somebody cheaper, because you're going to have to pay Justin Jefferson. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, and then when you start looking at this season, it's like, oh, okay, if things don't go well, like maybe we will be in that that market to have a top 10 pick, and we'll be able to pick one of these guys who's supposed to be up there. But we talked about like Kyler. You could see that as a situation potentially. Like if Arizona's up there and they're looking at something, it's like, who knows? Because I mean, even look at Devontae. Like, yeah, he's putting up numbers and he's playing well, but he's saying in his post game press conferences like, hey, I'm not a loser. Like I'm not here to it's awesome catching 7 balls for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns, but like I want to win games. And they're already talking about him wanting to be traded. So it's like you're staring down that barrel with Jefferson potentially. Like that's not a good situation either.
Oh, and Addison's right. He's going to be up in 3 years too, and he's off to a great start. But with Kirk, it's like, hey, if we go, let's say they win this weekend and the Jets get killed, and then the Vikings have to decide, like, all right, we're 1-3. We're probably in an area with Kirk where we're going to win 7 games. We're going to win 6 games. We're not going to be in that top 5 where you kind of want to. Now, granted, right now the quarterback draft class is absurdly good.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. And that's right now. Who knows where it is by the time we actually get to the draft and who actually leaves. But if you're Minnesota, you're not going to get a top 10 pick with Kirk. Like, you're going to be in that terrible 7-10 range where you're going to win enough games with him, but you're never going to win the Super Bowl.
You could make a trade. I don't know their picks, what they have, how they have to do it, but it's like everybody's just assuming Kirk's gone from Minnesota. Trade him to the Jets. It's like, do they want to do that? Are you just going to want to potentially put Justin Jefferson in the fate of some unknown potentially? I don't.
Not just him. I mean, there's 50, 60 other guys in that locker room. They know if you trade Kirk, it's the same way like that's going on in New York. Like the locker room knows if you get rid of Kirk, like you're punting on the season, you don't give a shit about any of them.
It's crazy we're talking about this about Kirk, by the way.
Yeah.
Because normally this would all be Kirk's fault.
Yeah, for sure.
The 0-3 would be Kirk's fault. Even if it wasn't,
sure.
It would be said that it's Kirk's fault. Very different narrative about old Kirk Cousins right now. Good for you, Kirk.
Yeah, attaboy, Kirk.
I know it's miserable because you're losing and you're the quarterback. It's still a thing, but it's not just directly on Kirk's shoulders publicly, which I think he's probably appreciative of.
But he's always been good in the regular season.
Well, that's not what people said, though.
No.
It didn't matter. Primetime games, regular season guy stinks.
Oh,
no. Oh,
yeah. AJ just hung up.
We just lost AJ Hawk.
He said that.
He said, I would like to bury Kirk.
Yeah. So why, if like you bring up the Jets, why would the Jets go trade for him, knowing that they got Aaron coming back next year?
Well, that's not even being talked about.
Why don't they, if they're also, in the situation where, hey, we can get Kirk and we could, maybe go to the playoffs, why wouldn't the Jets just do the same thing? Like, hey, screw this. Let's just suck. And obviously we don't have the quarterback of the future. Like, we can still, get a good pick and then take somebody that then gets to, go a year, 2 years under Aaron's belt and do the Jordan Love and the Packers thing.
That makes more sense than you're not going to go trade for Kirk Cousins. Because they screwed this up last spring. They got Aaron. They knew what they had in Zach, whether the O-line, whatever, right?
True.
But why don't you just move on and get a legitimate
Where would you
backup?
send Zach? Is Zach dead? Is Zach done?
Yeah.
Is Zach never going to work?
Yeah, so like Lombo's point, like if they got to, that's why, Saleh doesn't want to do that right now, because if they do it, it's over. And it's like, what are you going to do with him? Cut it. You got to cut him. You can't have him hanging around the locker room as your number 3. Can you imagine that poor kid?
Yeah, they sent him home last year.
And he's like, you got to be confident.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you got to feel good
Send him to
about
San
yourself. You
Francisco.
got to be confident. Well, what the fuck should I look at that's
Chuck. So close.
Yeah,
How old are you, Chuck? How old are you, Chuck? How old are you, Chuck?
I'm sorry.
How old are you?
I'm old enough.
No, but how old are you? What is
I'll be 63 next Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
Let's go.
Happy birthday, Chuck.
Or Monday. What's next Monday?
I don't know. I just went to Old White's. That's one of you.
Yeah.
I said that, not me. You know what I mean? I just want to let them know that's a 63-year-old
That's awful.
Paisan.
I apologize.
No, I appreciate the passion.
apologize,
Yeah,
guys.
a lot of passion.
We appreciate the passion because it's real, though. Like the Zach Wilson situation last year was uncomfortable to watch publicly, let alone this year. For another year it happening.
Going through everything he's been through, the Mike White T-shirt, all that, and then you come back and you're trying to instill all this confidence. I mean, something good's got to happen to make you feel good about yourself, and there hasn't been anything for that poor kid.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us now, a man who missed Chuck dropping not Chuck or Luck or Tuck or Muck
or Buck
or Buck or Shuck. It was the F-bomb.
That's right.
This guy missed it. Ladies and gentlemen, AJ Hawk's back.
Hey, boy, AJ.
You missed it, AJ. Good for you.
Sorry,
That's why
AJ.
your computer cut off, because they were like, we don't want you to hear this.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Santa's about to say something. You know what I mean? And
I'm
Chuck,
embarrassed for my family.
Yeah.
You guys.
Good.
yeah. If you would like to talk, the floor is yours. actually.
Italians.
You got it, Chuck.
If you'd like to apologize to any more people, go ahead. Camera's right there.
There's kids watching.
I know.
Your
Oh,
grandchildren.
Bear's
Yeah,
watching.
Bear's watching.
If you want to.
Bear's
Sorry,
probably
Bear.
screaming it.
Bodie doesn't understand yet, but he will.
Well,
Miller?
They learn early.
welcome back, AJ. We're talking about just like the point that Lombo made, where He said second quarter. That's what Lombo said. Lombo said second quarter, they're pulling Zach Wilson. They're putting Trevor Siemian in. If Zach Wilson continues to go the way it goes with the lack of self-awareness on the sideline, the lack of leadership, and also lack of production on the field. And then they said once you pull Zach there, it's done forever. Like, it's just, you can't put him back in. Simeon's potentially going to take some hits because that O-line is what it is. But what do you do with Zach there if that is the case? And we're obviously just operating in hypotheticals right now that Lombo created last hour.
Yes.
This is the most ESPN thing we've done since getting onto ESPN.
He made me cuss.
Well, we're swearing.
Yep.
Lombo's creating a narrative. We're now reacting to a narrative. This is ESPN. Welcome to ESPN, Pat But that is something that is potentially real and being projected. What do you do with Zach, and how do you think the locker room handles that whole situation?
I mean, I would love to be inside that locker room just to get a feel of what I just, the vibe has to be so weird. But yeah, I think Lombo's correct. If you do pull Zach, especially early in the game, how do you ever plug him back in? Like, then say Simeon struggles as well. Like, what do you do from there? I don't know the options that they have, honestly. If they pull Zach early, I don't know what you do. I don't know how.
All right, let's pivot away from that. Let's talk about butts being pushed in short yardage situations.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about 92% success rate for the Philadelphia Eagles. Not so much for everybody else, but for the Philadelphia Eagles with Jason Kelce in the boys and Jalen Hurts in the boys, putting a couple hands right there on asses and pushing for short yardage situations. Everybody's weighing in on it now. Everybody's weighing in. Peter King wanted this thing canceled.
Yeah.
Exiled from the game.
Get it out.
It's boring, it's stupid, it's dangerous, it's rugby, is what Peter King said. Then Jason Kelce comes out and says, we take concepts from every sport. You don't like rugby? Oh, sorry, Peter King. Okay. You're so highbrow. You don't like the toughness of rugby. And then he also pointed out the fact that other teams aren't as successful as the Philadelphia Eagles. You're also kind of undercutting the skill that it takes and the power that it takes and the technique that it takes to kind of have this be a successful operations. Now we got defensive players from around the NFL and ex-NFL players. This is D-tackle Cam Hayward on Good Morning Football. He hates the damn name of the Tush Push. I think we're probably a big part of the problem, just projecting, calling it Tush Push every single day. I've seen the Brotherly Shove.
Saw that.
Oh, that's good.
Because it's from the city of brotherly love. But whatever the case, we know what we're talking about. The only thing that's wrong with this play is that the offensive line isn't set. It's a hard play to stop. It's 11-on-11 football, and you need to find a way to stop it. Okay, pretty high-level analysis there from Cam Hayward. Let's go to the next one here from J.J. Watt. Lots of talk about the Tush Push. Hate the name, he says, by the way. Unpopular opinion, if they weren't allowed to push from behind, the Eagles would still be just as successful with quarterback sneaks. Yes, it helps, but the push isn't the reason it's successful. The O-line and Jalen are. JJ's echoing what Jason Kelce said, like, hey, let's have a little bit of respect. Now, Richard Sherman dove in on the rules and whether or not it's fair. My problem with the Tush Push, he didn't care about the name, is the NFL literally banned defensive players from pushing other players in the offensive formation on field goals and PATs because it was a health and safety violation. But now it's okay because it benefits the offense. And Richard Sherman echoes the sentiments of a lot of defensive players that says that the NFL is actually creating rules to make defense hard and offense easy. I think that's a matter of fact, but I also think the game's in a good spot, so it's going to continue to happen. So whenever you think about all this from Richard Sherman and from all these other boys, AJ is a guy who's the all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers. What are your thoughts on it? Should it be changed? Should it be adjusted? And how do you stop it?
I don't think I've never called for the old Tush Push to be banned. I think, like Hayward said, you got to find a way to stop it. But I think Richard Sherman's comments were the most interesting for me. Like, it's true. I was there. I was playing when you could push guys through the A-gap to try to block field goals and stuff and block extra points. Why is that too dangerous, but this isn't?
Well,
True.
so
Good question.
Those guys don't have a ball in their hands, the ones that are being pushed. They're literally just human torpedoes. So the D tackles who weigh 330, 340 would be lined up right over the long snapper's shoulders. Okay, right over the long snapper's shoulders. So long snapper's like this for the field goal. Right over. Then two guys would be behind each guy. So it would be six dudes coming through just the A-gap. You remember this? Everybody was promoting the hell out of this. So then bang, snap, and then you're just murdering the long snapper, and the guards are trying their best to like get their arms in to stop. You know, probably 900 pounds being pushed through each one of those guys. So I think it's a little bit different. You know, because like Jalen has to hold the ball still, so he's not just literally a torpedo like those D tackles were being for the field goals, but certainly worthy of a conversation about a little bit of a contradiction there between the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball.
Maybe they think like the long snapper, he's obviously defenseless. He's got his head down. He's got to snap a ball, and then he's got all that happening. Where we know this play's coming. To Cam's point, I thought Richard Sherman, that's a great argument.
Great argument.
But the officials are going to come back and say, well, this guy's a defenseless player.
Yeah, they'll say apples, oranges.
So defenses can push too.
So against the tush push, then are we shoving D lineman from the linebacker position now? Is that the way?
We
should.
should.
They have been.
That would be
well because the running backs are kind of pushing the O lineman too, though. Like the tight end Goddard, they kind of get a push with the O lineman. They don't have the ball in their hands.
The hour is coming to an end, as is our show on ESPN. We will continue on YouTube. Sports Center's in 7 minutes. All right. Yeah, that came up quick. That came up very quick there. The end of that.
Now it's okay.
You're at 7 to 3.
Yeah,
now,
please.
Come on, old man. Fuck, I can't believe I said it. God, I'm sorry. There you go. That was awful.
I did appreciate Richard Sherman taking that stance because it is a good comparison.
Very.
I think it is a good argument. But to Chuck's point, it's like argument.
Reminded me of the good old days when the long snappers who had pinpoint accuracy and used to punch the dudes in the balls that used to jump. Like in college, our dudes used to have straight up throw a right or left hit, boom, right end the shaft.
Yeah, so now you're not even allowed to be on the shoulders of the long snappers, and you'll see refs and and linebackers hit D tackles. And at the beginning there was people like kind of bitching about it or whatever. But boy, I don't know how long snappers didn't have broken necks every single week, honestly, because they're down there like this. And then they're taught, to your point, if you feel any pressure on you, which you will, and you can keep your feet, you rise up with both hands, like basically trying to get both of them. That's what they're being taught. But most times they are. Boom.
And those guys are typically only like 235, 240 pounds. I mean, they're smaller.
Have to be able to cover.
They're smaller dudes, right? Luke Rhodes is what, 240 pounds maybe?
Yeah. And he's
But to your point, die a slow death, what part of field goal protection – when you're talking about field goal and you can't push like the guys on the wing and the tight ends. You talked about it a couple weeks ago. That was the coaching point. Die a slow death.
You're going to die. Mm-hmm. Okay? Congratulations, you scored a touchdown. Way to go.
But then you got interlocked, AJ, right? You're interlocked with the wing, and then your leg gets caught, and you get a blown out.
Jeez, it's even worse.
You're doing this one here. That was my least favorite part of being a kicker, you know? Whenever I was going to practice, I wasn't going to practice in high school. Probably should have. Maybe would have ran a little bit more fakes, had a little bit more fun, but I was playing soccer at the time. Everybody thought that's where I was going. But my first time at practice, watching the offensive linemen, like what they're being taught for me to kick a field goal. Yeah. And I'm like hearing it, I'm like, these guys gotta fucking hate me. Oh my God. And then I miss like a short one. I'm like, I am so sorry. Like I am so sorry. Vinatieri, same way, even through like being in the NFL. Like you'll see a nice ass slap from Vinatieri for the boys. Like, hey, thank you, boys. Mm-hmm. Thank you, boys. Thank you, boys. Because the extra point, think about the extra point. That drive was probably long. They're exhausted. They've been literally hand-to-hand combat with people for this entire drive. Now, yeah, you're about to get your ass run over. And you should be happy you get to do this. But if you get run over slowly, please. It's like, okay, all right, fuck off. I've had a couple offensive linemen that were like,
yeah. West Virginia, correct?
West Virginia, guy told me, yeah, we don't miss extra points here or you will go missing or something. Yeah. Like that. I was like, all right, fair.
Never again.
And I did miss extra point, and I like just walked away from him. I don't like when kickers stand on the field too after a miss. We got to stop that.
Still dapping everybody up.
Yeah.
Even when it's like a high snap or laces are weird?
Yeah, whatever the case. You don't put the ball through the uprights. We don't need to be dapping up the offensive linemen that just were told to die slowly and are fucking miserable. You know, and they're all like, most of them are just good dudes. Like, yeah, this is just what we do. And they're like, hey, better luck next time or whatever. Anytime that happened to me, I was always like, better luck next time. You just died. Yeah, there it is. Look at this. This is what dudes do. They sign up for this. Well, they don't sign up. They're forced to do that. That's in the middle of the game. Get back up. You got more plays. You're lucky to be here. You're lucky to be here.
We're going to put both arms out, try to get wide, and just get your hands on three people.
Hey, how can you be the most vulnerable possible? I don't know. Let me spread out my legs.
Okay.
Have two
lift
legs.
your legs up, too. Make them trip over your legs, too.
Let me have two legs behind me, and then let me go like this with my head back. That might be the most vulnerable position in football. Go ahead,
and that's your backup D lineman. Yeah. That's a minimum, vet minimum. He's Max. Making. He's got no choice. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. I'd love that job.
Great block.
It's easier to block a kick than it is to block for a kick. But if you block a kick, I think you're winning like 70% of games or something like that. So so important, so vital, so miserable. They're coming after the kickoff. Trying to change rules.
Yeah.
It's like maybe a thought should be, let's figure out how to do this a little bit safer.
Yeah, maybe.
You know what I mean? Let's try to figure out how to do this one a little bit.
Historically low kickoff returns to this point through 3 weeks. We're going into week 4. Historically low, and it's not because of the.
Oh, you saw that? You saw that on Monday night?
It happened.
You saw it on Monday night?
Yeah.
That's disgusting. Do you go over to your NFL phone calls and say, look what you did to our game?
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed for what you did. Do you, because we know how you talk now, did you go, this fucking fair catch on a kickoff is disgusting? Is that what you said to the NFL? Or did you let them know that? Or are they celebrating the fact that that happened on
Didn't
prime
get much traction, but yeah.
It was bad, bro. Just looked embarrassing. You know, and Chase Blackburn, who's the special teams coordinator for the Rams, 2-time Super Bowl champion for the Giants, Ohio guy, massive head.
Huge.
Huge head. Would beat us all up in this room.
Sure. Absolutely.
Okay, I understand that.
Headbutt us to death with his neck and head. You're right.
Boom, the whole time. Bang, pow, and we would just have to take it. But
go around the room.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing? Chase Blackburn. Boom. Hey, my name's Ty, Mad Mel, Lou. Boom. All right, don't care. See ya. My name's Connor. I hate America. Boom.
Boom. Don't hate America.
Well, that's what people are saying.
Do you think the NFL is more so thinking, though, like, hey, in 6, 9, 12 years from now, that this won't be a huge conversation, that it'll more so just be, yeah, this is how the game is now on kickoffs and kick returns?
I hope, dude.
They're just going to go back and look at, okay, how many were actually waved off?
See,
how many times? And if it's really low, it was like less than 2% of all the kickoff returns had a fair catch on them, but we still had the same amount of injuries.
We'll get rid of it.
Yeah, so it's on a 1-year deal anyway.
I don't even think they look. I think they just make it. They say it's for a year. It's not for a year, and then it goes.
So stats are on everybody's side.
Right.
And it feels like stats have been against the kickoff for a long time. We hope that some big brains find a way to keep it in the game and make it still exciting.
Yeah.
And then we hope they're listened to. Because
What
we
did
heard
you say the stat was on the Tush?
92% for Philly.
So which one did they miss? And can we find that?
They missed one this week.
They did miss one this week.
They missed one this week. It was a
How do you
third
stop
one.
it, Chuck? How can we stop
So
it?
that's a thing. I'd like to look at the tape on the one they missed.
I think
and-
somebody slipped.
And if they,
I think it's all traction. I think it's all just I think the way to get there is you got to get to the ankles, don't you? So that he cause like
just a pile.
Oh, this
then they
one they
flipped
actually
it.
jumped over. The linebacker
enough
that
to
they
fall
missed
forward.
jumped over and grabbed him.
try and
Well, and
kinda
they-
pulled him back.
They changed the method too, week 1. They weren't going low anymore. They were letting the defense go low.
Yeah, which was a little bit of an adjustment.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey, the first week, snap, let them dive, go on top. So it was like a delayed tush push, which is
That would be the first thing, AJ, right? You remember old goal line? We'd have those guys with their asses
4
and they
point,
run on
yeah.
their 4-point stances in the submarine. You go under the offensive lineman and you come up through their butthole into the backfield.
But it's hard to do with Jason Kelsey, though. Jason Kelsey also
So that's
4 point.
So that's
Hard to get through
nothing
his
anymore.
butthole.
And they go on.
It is hard to get to his butthole.
Yeah.
Because the way he has that thing up like a cat.
Exactly.
Like a cat's
Really
ass. And then he's down there like this.
Yeah.
Tough to get to his butthole, Coach.
Almost impossible.
Yeah, show us, Coach. How
Coach,
to do
get to
it.
Connor's butt.
Yeah, come on, Coach.
You got to get your head way down. There you go, Chuck.
Coach!
That's like my high school D line. That's what we did.
It's 60 years old, bro.
Pretty good.
Chuck doing yoga.
I would say
Microphone, yeah.
if they weren't always going on first down, you know how Belichick would stem on the goal line?
False start.
Get you to jump and get a false start. That gets them out of 4th and 1. So I maybe try to come up with something like that. Otherwise, it's just like, let's
Yeah,
go.
but if you're moving as they go,
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah. Can you just try and time it up? Like just over and over again, go off sides if you have to, and just keep trying to time it up.
we're not going to let them get one successful one. We're going to jump off sides
Maybe
5
you go
straight times.
every time.
Yeah, just go Shiano on it. You're going to 92%. Okay, so we're not stopping this, fellas, right? So let's just jump the gun to your point.
Maybe
Let's
get
just see what happens.
Yeah, somebody bat the ball out of Jason Kelsey's
Yeah.
hand, too, just to let him know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other thing Greg did. We had Swatter on that.
You were
Taking a
coach
knee.
for him?
We were together at Miami.
When they were trying
You
to
guys were
or-
talking about him the other day. He came from the Bears. He was at the Chicago Bears as a defensive assistant back in the day.
Then went to
For
Miami.
Wanstead. And then he came to University of Miami. I was DB coach there. He came there in 99 as our D coordinator. So we were together 99 and 2000, and he got the Rutgers job.
Got it. And then he came to the Big East.
Yep.
Welcome to Steve Slayton and Pat Whitetown.
Never the
But we
same.
had some great games. Shauna had those boys ready. And he went down to Tampa and almost embarrassed the entire league.
Yep.
But
Mm-hmm.
happy he's back at Rutgers.
For sure.
Perfect.
Happy he's back at Rutgers.
They played well for a good bit of time in that game.
What a bad decision by me.
Good first quarter.
Let's get to a break. Sean Sharani on another sport we'll be talking. I took Rutgers, yeah, on game day, straight face.
Oh, yeah.
You were talking.
What if they would have won, though? What if they'd have won?
That's college football. Could have.
Yeah.
But
you've hit some other ones. You've been good this year.
that was the problem. Yeah. My bat was just
so hot. You had to.
I had eyes closed.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
BYU for sure, Florida for sure. What are we even talking about? These are easy. This board is easy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I look at the Rutgers-Michigan game, and I was like, yeah, Rutgers is going to get a big time win.
Screw it.
How could you not take BYU on LSD Thursday?
Well, LDS.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
Jeez, Chuck, now you're talking about drugs.
Doing drugs.
Right.
The Dare episode.
Let's get to a break. Sham Charania will be on the other side from The Athletic, telling us about what the hell happened in the NBA yesterday.
Yeah.
I thought Dame Lillard was going to Miami. Now he's in Milwaukee. And the Phoenix Suns were involved? The fuck's going on? Sham Charania. We'll break it all down on the other side. We can't wait for it. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice. Take 5.
Well, nonetheless, as of February 1st, Pat McAfee is officially a contributor with WWE.
Living his dream to be a part of WrestleMania.
I want to see Pat McAfee tonight.
I've been preparing for this my entire life.
McAfee wins! McAfee wins! Pat McAfee has done it again! It's time to toast the boys and toast the brand. McAfee's wanted to drink beer with Stone Cold forever. Stunner! Stunner!
There was a point in my life, all I could think about doing was professional wrestling.
McAfee closing in on another WrestleMania victory.
First, we're going to have to get the okays, obviously. And we did from people high up. They were the only people that knew for a while. There was like 3 people that knew in the whole world that was going to potentially be a situation for a little bit.
City of Stars, Boston Connors here. We will be there tonight. Everybody's supposed to know we're here. It's going to be tough. And if you're a man that's only known for wearing tank tops, you kind of got to cover it up. I didn't see him. Hey, I'm Pat. Nice to meet you. Yes, sir. He's hanging in the back. One second. See you. Am I putting this on my face? I can't see shit. Who's on the game here?
Nobody. This is you until you go out.
Come on, dude. Let's go take a look around. There's some bunk beds there. You know, there's a shitter and a shower here in the back.
He sat in that bus 6, 7, 8 hours, 9, 10 hours.
I'm coming down that thing. Holy fuck, what a view that's going to be. Hell yeah. What all those fucking people are going to be there.
Just waiting, for an opportunity to potentially have a WrestleMania moment.
It's ridiculous. This is awesome. WWE is just like the best at operating. They take care of the non-obvious. So we're very thankful to be here. And tonight should be fucking sick. Hell yeah. I think there's like 3 people that know I'm here.
Are we not supposed to come in here?
No, yeah.
All right.
4 now. Look at you.
Won't fucking say a word.
I'll see you at SoFi. You going to be in LA?
I don't know. George is,
It's a loaded question.
George, we don't know. George, you don't know. Maybe.
What's up, stud?
Oh, nice.
As soon as I saw George showcase that tight end university tank top, I knew there was a chance old George about to do something special.
Are you kidding, boys?
Welcome to WrestleMania!
The night was getting late. We weren't sure. We didn't know if a moment was going to pop up where maybe my services could be utilized.
I haven't been in a ring since SummerSlam. Okay, like not even in one.
All I wanted was the Miz to have an opportunity to have a
match,
just a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, good guy. Stand there.
And then the Miz mentions, I sent out an open challenge, and we go,
oh my God.
There it is.
And I put out an open challenge, and no one responded. Why? Because I'm the Miz, and I'm awesome!
Let's go!
Wait a minute! I feel McAfee's here!
I have walked out into a stadium as a WWE superstar probably 1,000,000 times in my head.
WrestleMania was missing Pat McAfee! McAfee in the Pat McAfee Show.
And I'm thankful to the WWE Universe that said hello whenever I came out on that massive fucking stage.
By the way, there's only 2 announcers undefeated in WrestleMania history, me and Pat. I can't believe McAfee's here.
Hello, beautiful people. What's up, Snoop?
What's up, Snoop?
You're a legend, dog. You're the best, dog. Hello, miss. None of us saw this alleged open challenge that you set. But good news. This is my WrestleMania tank top. If you still would like a match, why don't you let me beat your ass right here, right now? You all want to see The Miz versus Pat McAfee right here, right now? I'm the host of WrestleMania, and I cannot make matches official. Miz, I do believe your tiny balls are showing. Tiny balls. Tiny balls. Baby meat as well. There's 80,497 people here. Somebody has to be able to make a match official somewhere.
I am the dog father and the host of WrestleMania, so I feel like I can make that match happen. Right now, we got a ref, we got you, Let's get cracking. I'm out. Let's go.
And McAfee, go right after Miz with the right hand. Driving Miz back into the corner. Pat McAfee in action. This is a blatant sneak attack. He takes his duties as host of WrestleMania. Oh yes, Spinebuster! This derelict shows up. And check out his tank top though. He's got sparkles on it. You're behind this, aren't you? But no, I had no idea. You said the same thing in the Rumble. I didn't know this guy was showing up. Oh, what a kick by McAfee! Miz.
Hey, baby boss! Baby boss! Tiny meat!
In a $7,000 tuxedo. George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. I'm not sure how wise that was. McAfee's got the official distracted in the ring. Kittle just took out Miz. Kittle telling McAfee to go on top. McAfee heading up to the top rope. And taking out the Miz. Now we're talking. Miz may never win another match. McAfee closing in on another WrestleMania victory. The all-decade punter with a punt to end this thing. Here's your winner, Pat McAfee. A surprise here tonight, and WrestleMania goes Hollywood.
That match was awesome. I had so much fun there. That was a good time. The punt was fucking hilarious. You got a tiny ball champ, though. I had a feeling. We were sitting here all day. Oh, I wanted to text you earlier. I was told not to text you.
Well, of course. Nobody fucking texts
I was
me.
told not to text you. You had a hell of a show.
I'm so thankful to the people at the WWE. It was a super cool night, super cool moment, and I'm very thankful for it all.
5:30 a.m. Sunday. This day started 6:30 a.m. Saturday. So much cool shit happened in between now and then. Joke of an existence. I'm very thankful for everything. Let's go take a nap.
Why?
Hey.
Why?
Let's go. This show sticks, and the fact that you listen, we are very, very thankful for.
The all-time leading tackler for the Green Bay Packers, you pig! Damn it! Be a friend, tell a friend something nice could change their life.
Sport!
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to our humble abode, the Thunderdome, on this Coach Saban Thursday, September 28th, 2023. Hour 3 of this program starts now. Football! That's AJ Hawk buying into the team. Hell yeah, AJ.
Oh.
The Talks the Tables here at Boston Connor and at Ty Schmidt. One half of the Hammer, Dahn. Cowboys Tone Diggs is here. And the last man you heard yell football into a microphone was a guy that said fuck on ESPN today. 36 years as a football coach. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Chuck Pagano. Thank you, Chuck. We appreciate that. Oh, Coach fuck Pagano.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, join us now. It is not about football. It is about the NBA. And that is not something we normally do, but there was massive news that took place yesterday where Damian Lillard was traded from the Portland Trailblazers to the Milwaukee Bucks. He asked for a trade in July. He said, I'm going to Miami. He ends up in Milwaukee. The man is going to have all the information on how this happened and what this means for the rest of the league. Joins us now, senior insider for The Athletic and the Stadium Network, friend of the program, the ever-handsome Sham Charania.
Hey.
Pat, it's good to be here. Congrats again. You know, we have to make sure you got the slides, the kicks, the gear, the swag to match your tank top. Also, just staying with your Pittsburgh roots, you know, black and yellow. So I'm glad you're swagged out these days.
Well, I appreciate the Geiger gift bag. You know, Geiger from Pittsburgh, his business manager actually went to our high school. We know pretty well. We've been trying to get something from Geiger through that guy for, 10 years. So you gifting that to me is incredible. Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
And Sean Davis, thanks for nothing.
Thanks for nothing, Sean.
Yeah, that's good guy, great guy. I thought we were friends, but yeah, you were able to get a full gift box before that guy was. So we love you, Shams. You're plugged in. Let's dive in. You have a couple of awards sitting over your shoulder there because you get everything accomplished. Yesterday, news came out of nowhere that Damian Lillard was going to the Milwaukee Bucks instead of the Miami Heat. How do we get here? I thought in the NBA, if a player says, I want to go play in Miami, that's what happens. That's not what took place. Can you lead us to the trip, how we got here?
It doesn't always happen that way. So, yeah, when Damian Lillard asked for a trade on July 1, a day into free agency, he told the Portland Trailblazers, I want to trade to one team and one team only, and that's the Miami Heat. And he believed he had the goodwill there, 11 seasons there, top 75 greatest players of all time. He spent his whole career there. He felt like he earned the right to dictate where he was going to go. And Portland just from the outset just did not seem interested in really engaging with the Miami Heat. I'm told on one of the initial calls, they asked for either Bam Adebayo or Jimmy Butler. Obviously, that's not going to go anywhere. And I think the Heat, in talking to people around there, they just did not feel like the Blazers had any interest in really dealing with them. And they weren't interested in their package. And the Heat were willing to give 3 first-round picks, swaps, seconds, expiring contracts, a young player like Nikola Jovic, Tyler Hero in that case, also a Milwaukee native, ironically. He would then go to a third team. But that never got any traction. And so Dame Lillard, he did have some say at the end of this in terms of him and his agent. They told Milwaukee, like, trade for him if you want. Like, Dame would be fine going there. And it was going to be a matter of whether Dame would want to go there and would a team want to take him on. He's got 4 years, almost $220 million left on his contract. And so once his agent gave Milwaukee the green light, Milwaukee went all in, and they traded Jrue Holiday, a first, a couple swaps, and they really changed the entire I think, landscape of the NBA, because this also has an impact on Giannis's future as well.
Yeah, they propelled up the #1 odds to win the title next year immediately upon this being announced. Dame and Giannis should be a lot of fun to watch. You said like 4 years, $220 million. Like the ninth guy on like the Pacers bench is making $190 million. I mean, that's how the NBA is. So we assume that somebody would want Dame, especially because how the NBA does move. And what I read, and I think you alluded to it there, you said the Miami Heat felt like they were never engaged in the conversations. I heard the Heat made one offer and then that was it. It sounds like Portland was like, because Dame wanted to go to Miami, we're not doing that. Is that, what's with this spite? Is that real? Is that the pettiness? Is that how we got here?
I believe Damian Lillard and his camp definitely believe that Portland just did not have any interest fulfilling his wish, and that's to trade him to the Miami Heat. And you look at previous trades, at least since I've been covering the league. You know, Donovan Mitchell last year, I think there was an understanding. He preferred to go to the New York Knicks, and he had spent, I think, 5-6 seasons in Utah at that point. And Utah did everything they could. Danny Ainge, Justin Zanuck in Utah, they tried their best to move Donovan Mitchell last year to the Knicks. The Cavs just trumped their offer. And I think over the course of time, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant last season, he ends up with the Phoenix Suns, his preferred destination. He doesn't get his wish last summer, but then he gets his wish during the season. Most landmark players, the team has at least tried to trade him to his preferred destination. In this case, Damian Lillard, his camp just don't believe that even the attempt or the try was there. And I think the only situation I can think of there is with Kawhi Leonard, when it was known he wanted to go to one of the LA teams, and the Spurs just moved him to the Toronto Raptors. That was in 2018.
I love that. And I didn't get to hear all of Farewell, Dame's new song that he dropped yesterday. Sure. I hope he took some shots at the front office and the organization, because everything he did for them, everything he did for them, to not even engage in conversation, that's the culture, I guess, of the NBA. Go ahead, AJ, with your question for Shams.
Shams, what's the future look like for James Harden? Were you able to talk with him at all at that sweet party he had? I saw he put out a nice highlight film of that party. I don't know if you were there, but what's it look like for him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind going anywhere for any information, any networking, AJ, but I was not there, unfortunately. I also wasn't there last night in Miami when he went to go see a soccer game. What I do know is he still wants to trade, and I think he wants to trade to the Clippers. And just we know how this offseason has gone. The back and forth between him and Daryl Morey. He told Daryl Morey, he said it, for everyone to hear, you're a liar. And I never want to be a part of an organization that you're a part of again. And he got fined $100,000 for those comments. And since then, I don't think anything has changed. The Sixers aren't really sure whether he's going to report to training camp next week. We'll see what happens there if he's still on the roster. But I think one thing that's changed everything, the new wrinkle here, is Drew Holiday, his future. He's now on Portland in that Damian Lillard trade, and I think there's a good chance he moves before media day on Monday. And I think the Clippers have interest potentially. Philadelphia has interest in him, and Philadelphia is going to be going hard at him. So James Harden would have to be a part of a transaction like that. So I think it's to be determined, but I don't think James Harden's mindset's changed at all.
Drew Holiday said the day before the trade that he was a Buck for life, right? Love the place, love everything about it. I can't wait to be in Milwaukee for the rest of my life. Boy, I love this place.
Tough.
And then next day he's traded right out. He didn't know any discussions were happening. Is that the way it goes?
It's a cold world. I'm told he did find out before the deal, but no, I don't think. I think this really came out of nowhere. I think this was really airtight. John Horst, the Bucks organization, ownership. At the end of the day, they had to make the final call, and they kept it tight. And I think Drew Holiday, if he was still there, he would have signed an extension, would have been there for years to come. But we saw, like Giannis's comments the last few months, the pressure he's put on that organization to go win a championship. And if we're not trying to win a championship here, I'll go somewhere else to go win a chip. And I think that pressure that he's put on that organization, they went out and they saw Damian Lillard, and they know the impact that he can have. I think there will be a transition. Defensively, Drew Holiday was a force. He can guard anyone in the league. But I think from an offensive perspective, I was talking to one team president today, and they said Giannis and Dame are the best offensive duo. They're like a match made in heaven. There's not a better duo you can come up with in today's NBA.
Well, I'll be fascinated to see how it works out, because I was told Kyrie and Luka are going to be able to.
That's right.
And, is that still happening? Are we still, Luka and Kyrie, still together in Dallas?
Kyrie and Luka are still together. Kyrie signed a 3 years, $126 million deal. He is back in Dallas. So, yes, that duo is back.
So, as soon as he got there, they just were terrible, right? And it'll be different?
They went 5-11 together, so it's not even like
good. So what happened? How is that? Because we asked you this last year at the end of the season, because we went and saw the Mavericks take on the Pacers
and Clippers Suns
and Clippers Suns, but we saw Mavericks and Pacers. Everybody there had Luka jerseys on. Everybody in Indiana had Luka jerseys on. They were there to see the Mavericks. I don't think Kyrie played. He might have. I don't know. But them on the same, they never won like it was supposed to happen. And then at the end of the season, we go, hey, Kyrie going back to Dallas, or where is he heading to LA? And you're like, no, Mark Cuban wants him there. Luka wants him there. Everyone. What was happening that we didn't see in the results business that makes them think that they're going to have success?
Well, offensively, they think they're good. They had, as a duo, they were one of the best offenses in the league. The big question is defensively. So them two buying in, the rest of the team buying in. But when I talk to people on the Mavericks, their sense is it was a roster issue. It was a chemistry issue. So this year, there's no more Christian Wood. There's some of the other players on the roster they kind of allowed to depart. They brought in Grant Williams. I think he's going to be a big get for them, getting him from Boston positions. I know Boston Connor knows everything about Grant Williams.
So good.
he trends on Twitter every game he plays. He's a top 5 trend. So fans love him. They love to hate on him sometimes as well.
That's
but
what they need.
Sometimes.
Dallas needed more top 5 trends.
That's right.
You know, Luka, Kyrie, get another one in there, Mark Cuban.
Right.
Yeah,
That's what they need. They need more top 5 trends. I'm excited to see how it works. There's another player we always ask about, obviously. Ty Schmidt has a question for you.
Yeah, Zion, what's going on with him, okay? You know, I was going to say Shams, you know, I don't want to bring this up again, but we have to talk about him. Zion is looking absolutely fucking jacked. Looks like he lost a bunch of weight. Are the expectations that he's going to play more than 6 games this year, or are we putting the over-under at like 12 games maybe? What's going on with Zion?
Oh, man, I hope it's not 6 to 12 games. If it is, the Pelicans are in a lot of trouble. Listen, the latest Zion update I have is here. The Pelicans believe that Zion Williamson is in really good shape. They're excited about his progress and the way he looks, his readiness for training camp next week. And one thing, David Griffin has come out and said it as well. One difference in the past, Zion Williamson has not spent this much time in New Orleans. He spent a lot more time locally in New Orleans, working out there, spending some time at the Saints facility as well. There's a football tie-in for you guys. But again, that doesn't mean he's leading the charge on the court quite yet. He hasn't been a part of that many scrimmages on the court, so we're not seeing him put dents on the floor. But the one thing that I will say he's doing a lot of, he's investing a lot more money, investing a lot more time on his body, on hiring people, bringing people in his life that can help him and help his body. From that standpoint, you have to give Zion Williamson a shout for his accountability. I think he understands the level of commitment he needs to have moving forward.
Is he still drinking that trash-ass Starry?
I think only he can answer that, but he is sponsoring it. Last time we checked, he's sponsoring. So I'm not trying to.
That was the most we saw him last season.
Oh, yeah.
We are massive. For those that are new to the program, we are maybe Zion Williamson's biggest fans. Check it.
Number one topic. I agree. This is the Zion Williamson show. There's not a show that ever comes by that we're not talking Zion Williamson. I think there is a lot of love here for Zion Williamson.
I've seen this dude since he's 12 years old, dunking on little white kids on the internet. Just through his legs at 240 pounds then when he was 12. Now like 290, he's able to do stuff that no other human bodies are able to do. Then he's not going to be able to do it in college. He did. The only thing that didn't hold up for him in college was his shoes. Remember, they couldn't handle how explosive he was, and that actually affected him. So whenever he gets to the Pelicans in his first game playing for them, they're on national television because he's on the team. The Pelicans introduced him like third or something like that.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Or like second or something like that. Didn't introduce him last. I was pissed. I'm like, hey, we're all watching because of this guy, pal. The reason why you're on national TV, speaking of Drew Holiday, he was there. The only reason why you're on national TV is because of Zion. So I thought since day one, the Pelicans didn't appreciate what they had in this. And then it feels like over the last couple of years, we've learned that maybe Zion didn't appreciate what he was either as much. Sounds like he's putting a little bit more into the game. And in return, we should feel something, right? We should see something out of Zion this season.
Listen, when he's on the court, Pat, I mean, we all want to see Zion Williamson on the court as much as possible. That's good for the game. That's good for basketball. That's good for sports. And what he does, no one else in the league does. So we want him on the court. But conditioning, his shape, mentality, commitment, I think those are all things.
Figure it out, Zion.
JJ Redick has said it publicly. Teammates have said it publicly. I don't think I'm throwing Zion under the bus here. No. I think that those are all things that Pelicans officials look at on a daily basis. And I think, one thing I will say, teammates, they want to see it to believe it. They want to see Zion Williamson come in, the shape he's in. They want to believe he's ready to go because they know if he plays 60 games, 70 games, this is a team that can compete for home court.
Hell yeah. I can't wait to watch it. Good team down there.
Very good.
Hey, and the Blender, the Smoothie King Center.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
it's live.
It's live.
Get Pat to a game. Can we get Pat to a New Orleans game? Because if you think about it, you did the Suns. You did the Suns.
Just stop.
You sound like a doofus right now.
Just stop.
You did the Pacers.
Keep going,
Shams, you sound like a doof. I was at the Clippers, the Suns game, obviously.
I'm just saying, let's get Pat to New Orleans.
Shams.
Get down there.
First game.
Shams, you sound dumb. Please, Zito, can we find the photo? There has to be there somewhere. The Pelicans actually... They gave me a microphone, put me right in the middle, center court.
Yeah.
They gave me center court. After I put that tweet out about Zion, him not being introduced last, look at this. This was the last. That was not it. That's it right there. So, Daryl Morey's liar on the bottle service thing, certainly hilarious.
They gave you the mic.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
I introed the whole team. Zion was not last.
No.
Yet again, I introed the whole team. This was the last event before COVID.
Yes.
Yeah.
Real deal.
We had to remind the world. You know, we all forgot everything that happened that year in 2020.
Yeah, so this was, at this point, I think they were talking about like a historic spike of COVID in New Orleans.
Yeah, it was March.
Like it was one of the it was one of the big things. So we go down there to do it. We fly back. Didn't leave the state for 2 years.
Yeah.
Like that was the last thing. I think it was the last day potentially before COVID happened. Got to do this interim. So the Pelicans and I have great relationships, a long time. But we've been waiting since that night for Zion to be Zion. Here we are 3 years later thinking it's coming. Now another young superstar that we certainly need to continue to play well and off the court, act right. Connor has a question for you.
Yeah, Shams, we haven't heard much about Ja, and that's probably the best case scenario after that whole entire debacle happened in the spring. What's going on there? Is he just locked in, and is he never going to be on a phone again, probably for the best? Or what's the situation with Memphis?
Yeah, I think he was on the phone. He just posted a video a few days ago. I think a lot of Ja Morant's activity right now is a lot to do with his sponsorships, his commitments, his partners, and I think the Nike shoe deal, they kept the shoe deal. So he still got that. He was at a Nike event in New York City a few weeks ago. So he's still involved when it comes to his partners. But I think, you know, he's put out some videos as well, some content. I think he is locked in on the court. I think he's trying to stay locked in. We're not seeing him do a lot of tweeting, a lot of posting on social media. And I think that was the issue the first time. And then the incident happens again. I think the second time around, it seems like he's clearly changed up, at least his approach. And I think the Grizzlies are going to try to get to that 2025 game point. Hopefully they can tread water, stay above ground, and then hopefully get Ja Morant back right after that 25th game.
Yeah, there felt like there was a time there where Ja Morant's natural instinct as soon as he saw an IG Live was to grab a gun.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where is one? As soon as your IG Live let me do that. He can learn from that, right? He can certainly change. I think we're going to see a great Ja Morant from this. Is that how everybody else views this as well?
Yeah, I think even his dad's come on and said it. It's just decision making. I think Ja Morant has to take ownership of this. I think he has. I think he did the first time. Clearly, he did it again. And I think the onus falls with him. Listen, you do it again, you're going to get an even bigger suspension. You probably suspend, season
Yep.
You're going to third time around. It's not going to go as well for him. So I think he understands that there's too many partners for him, too much obligation. I think at the end of the day, everyone around Ja Morant, when I talk to teams that interviewed him during the pre-draft process, he's a great kid. I think he loves basketball. He loves to hoop. And so to be able to hoop and to show your love and passion for the game, he's got to stay on the court. And that means getting rid of the off court.
Yeah, we need him in the sports world too.
Yeah.
Like, hey, look, come on, Ja, come on. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's just be an adult, earn the paycheck, do our thing. And then when you're done, all the gun IG Lives you want.
Yeah,
Exactly.
rip it up.
That's like a goal. Maybe have it be a goal, just not as one of the top paid professional athletes on earth. Anything we missed here, Shams? Anything we missed that we should have brought up in the NBA world because we're not following as closely as you are, obviously?
No, but I just got a text. I have some news for you guys, just a little bit. It's no trade news. This is a big trade week. We'll see what happens to Drew Holiday, see what happens to James Harden. I just got this. So Indianapolis, your city, where you're from, where you bleed.
Yeah.
You bleed black and yellow, but you reside in Indy.
Yeah, you got byway.
Yeah, right.
They're hosting All-Star Weekend in 2024. The NBA is nearing plans for the Warriors and Chase Center to have the 2025 All-Star Weekend in the Bay.
Okay, congrats.
Some
Congrats.
league-related news for the Warriors. They will host All-Star Weekend.
2025.
Yep.
Oh,
Almost there.
Hey, lock it in.
Okay.
Yep, mark it.
I just put in my calendar.
Yeah.
What's the date? What's the
Book the
date?
flights, but
8 months away.
mid-February 2025.
Okay, the Ides of February
All-Star games
2025. Let me scroll through here. All right, it's 2024.
Someone get on Airbnb now.
All right, February 2025. The 12th is Wednesday. 12th is a Wednesday. All right.
Okay.
We appreciate you, man. You're the best, dude.
Appreciate
Honestly.
you guys always.
When's the season? You said training camp's next week, all the way to Christmas, right? Because Christmas is first day.
Yeah.
Media Days October 2. Season opener October 23rd.
Okay.
And then Christmas Day, yes, is December. I think it's December 25th. I think. Can Can we confirm that?
Well, there's certainly a conversation about is that the actual or is there a certain that's not for us to decide.
No.
Yeah, that's not this.
The NBA season starts on October 23rd. Just to clarify.
The Christmas.
We'll check in on
the
Christmas.
Christmas
tournament as
well. Actually, Christmas is Sunday, which
is the Lord's Day, but it's also
I think we know what that
Roger Goodell's Day.
No, it's Monday. It's Monday. But we got
three games on Monday.
Hey, we got three. So Christmas was last year on Sunday, I think, and the NFL saw how NBA, not a bad idea. So now this year, 3 games the NFL has. That's
sorry, Sean.
Why are we doing that? Why is that happening?
Yeah, and I mean, the NBA didn't encroach on Thanksgiving. NFL came in on Christmas Day doing their thing.
What's that all about? You know what I mean? What is that all about?
Well, now NFL also on Black Friday, which
I think the NFL's worried too much.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about, Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Sean Serrani, thank you. So, that was their day.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, yeah. I remember watching Kobe on Christmas Day. Always.
Oh, yeah. It'll be back once Christmas is, it's what? 4 days where it can be just on its own?
Not this year. Next year when Christmas is on Tuesday, that'll be fine.
Is that how it works? Just moves a day?
Normally, unless it's a leap year.
Leap year moves 2 days, I believe.
Okay, so they'll put a game on Tuesday.
If they have to, yeah.
Christmas?
You think so?
Yeah.
Week 16?
You think what they did last year, the numbers that they had, and then this year, the numbers they're going to have, they will do Christmas football, I assume.
Yeah.
Maybe not Wednesday's just close enough to Thursday.
Why not?
I think they would do, if it was on Friday. Yeah. I think the NFL has invaded Christmas, I think. Do you agree?
Absolutely. They will invade any day that they have to. No question.
There's people at home watching nothing. Why haven't we done this forever? Well, the NBA kind of,
Oh, who cares?
Okay. Basketball.
Did the NBA, he said the NBA didn't come after to play on Thanksgiving. Do you think the NFL really said hey, don't be touching Thanksgiving, that's our day?
Yeah, we all felt the same way, but let Shams have his little moment.
Yeah.
We all
2025 though, that is pretty sweet though. So they have a brand new arena.
Just built it.
What are you laughing at?
That is big news.
I did not know that was coming.
No idea.
2025 news?
Yeah.
Look at us, dude. We're breaking this thing.
Yeah. First
put it in the calendar.
Bro, I'm in my calendar right now. February 2025. Literally. I mean, the 12th is a Wednesday.
I didn't know it was
What
at
about
Indy.
Indy?
Congrats.
What about Indy? That's
this year,
2024?
That's not broken. I think that news has been broke for a few years now.
I believe it has.
I think it is going to be here. It's going to be awesome.
Did they
That's
do
gonna be
anything
awesome,
about the load management and players?
Yeah.
They did, didn't they?
They
I was gonna
changed
be
the
a
rules
question.
for
Is there-
all awards now. You have to play a minimum of 65 games. So if you want to win MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, all that shit, you have to play at least 65 games.
Well, you still have a lot of load management then still. You have to play 82 regular season?
Yeah, 17 games, though, is better than people missing 30 games.
Isn't the all NBA stuff is tied into the contracts too, and how much money
it is.
guys can make? So
And legacy.
yeah, right.
Everything.
Well, they don't
Hundreds of millions.
They do care about that, I think. I
Is
think
that
basketball's a big
is that
legacy.
overarching enough to
no,
affect
yeah,
a lot of the best?
The Supermax
right?
contracts, you have to, Jaylen Brown, for instance, the reason he got a $295 million contract was because he was second team All NBA. So, when they actually do the Suns contracts, they, have a list of them and how KD is the highest paid, Bradley Beal, then Booker. Booker will get, a $350 million contract Supermax for his next one if he's on an All-NBA team, which he will be.
The Suns were part of that Lillard trade.
Yeah, they got much better. They helped. They got rid of Ayton, which was just another guy who wanted 20 shots, brought in a dude who he's a European who just sits under the net, Nurkic. Perfect for what they needed.
Yusuf Nurkic.
Yeah.
Don't forget Grayson.
Yeah, actually,
Grayson Allen. What's he? Is he still doing Grayson Allen stuff, Mac Jones stuff?
Oh, yeah, he's still doing the same stuff.
Heading to Duke this weekend. Can't wait.
Nurkic is actually the guy who snatched the phone out of the fan in Indianapolis when he was filming him. He snatched this dude's phone, threw it. He got suspended for a game for it.
I didn't remember that. I don't think I saw it. I love it.
Got in his face. I mean, he was. They were.
Hey, why does
barking
Drew
at each
Holiday
other.
get traded and then traded again? Why is Portland pick him up there just to use him to trade him and get some more picks?
Buyout. I think he's going to get traded, then he's going to buy out of his contract, so he's going to be a free agent. I would assume that Portland knew that before the trade even took place.
Yeah, they'll try and trade. They'll try.
How
and
about
trade
Chris
him
Paul,
first.
right?
Yeah. If they don't trade him, then they'll buy him out and he'll go. Because if he does say, "Hey, I want to go to Miami," and they trade him to Miami, which would be hilarious because they want to do it for Lillard. But if they did that for Holiday, then they don't have to buy him out. Then Miami just gets his contract. But if
Miami could buy out though, they can do that.
Yeah, they could, but they take him. Like the Celtics are another team, and he mentioned the Clippers too. There are going to be multiple teams who are going to try and trade for him, and it would make more sense for them to trade him than to buy him timeout.
How about Petty? I thought that was a players' league over there, and Portland's not even talking to Miami because that's where fuck Lillard. He wants to go to Miami, anywhere but Miami.
I didn't think that happens much.
Me neither. That was wild to hear about. Honestly,
players seem to be in complete control, especially if you are one of the few superstars out there.
Yeah, Mitchell. He brought up Mitchell. Mitchell did not want to go to Cleveland, but he didn't want to be in Utah. So
yeah, but is Donovan Mitchell the same caliber as Dame?
Close.
Yeah, they're
He's pretty damn good.
Close.
He's pretty damn good.
All right, sweet. Dame.
What about LeBron, Austin Reeves? Are they going to win it all? Are they going to be good?
That was the first time there's ever been an ESPN-associated NBA conversation where LeBron James is not asked about. And at the end, I was thinking about asking about it, but said, you know what? Not going to do it. Just so we can break that record.
Yes.
Of never, ever bringing up. Shams has a good plug, too, with the LeBron camp.
Yes, he does.
Let's call Shams back. Let's just do that. Let's call Shams back.
Second
You
hit.
guys
doesn't
see Austin
count.
Reeves' new shoes yet? I want to see if they're any good. He's got his own shoe line.
They look sweet.
I haven't seen him. I was going to bring up about Zion. I bet you he has the least amount of games played in the NBA and has his own shoe line.
Probably.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yep.
That might be a record.
Is there an over-under on him?
On Austin Reeves?
On Zion. How many games
Ty
he played?
said it, 6.
What is
No,
it?
it was 12.
Oh, my bad.
What do you think, Chuck? You follow the sport much?
No, I mean, that's what you can bet. I'm talking about the better.
Oh, no.
Do they put an
I assume
over-under?
that's insanely low. That was kind of just
You'd
me
put it
taking
at
a shot.
at 12. If you
They're
were
probably at
doing-
like 30 or something.
Yeah, he's probably the favorite to win comeback player of the year, though, or most improved.
And he's been able to win that the last 3 years.
What's he coming back? What's he coming back from?
Weight and porn stars,
No,
Tony.
well-
That's the thing.
Whoa.
Hey, that porn star situation was
Did that
real.
get cleared up?
I think so. I haven't heard anything.
Well, Geno Smith won comeback player of the year, so I would guess anything can happen.
Stephen A. was funny.
Good point.
Yep.
Tone got real upset. He wasn't hurt. What did he come back?
Oh, he stunk last year?
From being a backup quarterback? Way to come back from that. But it is his story.
Yeah.
Quite a good comeback story. I think he should have been an MVP conversation with what he did with that offense, number one offense in the NFL.
Playoffs.
But you were saying comeback is for injuries.
In my mind, yeah, but I'm wrong.
Boy, hey, Shams Ronnie's back. You still look cool. Hey, we
This is live TV now, huh?
now internet.
Internet.
Yeah,
internet.
should have had you on TV, but it's basketball, and it's not Christmas. Well, day after Christmas now, because the NFL's got. Sorry, we discussed this after you left. By the way, if Christmas is on Wednesday, the NFL is going to play games. If Christmas is on Christmas is the NFL's day now.
Yeah, good run,
I thought they're playing any day. It doesn't matter which day, right?
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, Christmas seems to be an NFL day now. We apologize. We didn't make the decision, but it is awesome for us at home.
Absolutely.
During Christmas. We just conducted the first ever ESPN-affiliated NBA conversation without asking about LeBron. And then he had a question about Austin Reeves and his shoe line. And then we're wondering about LeBron. How LeBron's still at the Lakers. AD's still there. Austin Reeves is the king of the United States team.
Yep.
LeBron said, I'm playing in the Olympics. Is there anything else we need to know about everything going on with LeBron?
Well, I think everything starts and stops with LeBron James with the Lakers this year. Like, I think this team is more talented this year. They got more depth on the Lakers. Getting Christian Wood at the minimum was a great get. That's a guy that had an extension offer from Dallas. He ends up playing for the minimum with the Lakers now. And I think getting him and they got back Rui Hachimura, re-signed D'Angelo Russell, re-signed Austin Reeves. I think this team is prepped to go, pretty far potentially if they stay healthy. But all that starts with LeBron James, with Anthony Davis, and mostly with LeBron James. Year 21. From everything I hear, he looks in great shape. The foot was an issue to start. And I know we spoke about it. He was dealing with a tendon injury. It's not sure yet whether he got surgery, but that was on the table. We'll see if he talks about it on media day on Monday, I believe. So we'll see where LeBron's at physically with his foot. But to my knowledge, he's 100% ready, and he's ready to go.
AJ has a question about Austin.
Yeah, Austin Reeves, I saw he has his own shoe line, I believe. I heard him talking about it somewhere. Have you seen the shoes, and how are they?
What do they look like? He's sick?
Yeah, he does have a new shoe line. And I mean, I can pull up. You guys want me to pull up the pictures now?
Are they public?
Are they on the internet?
Yeah, they're definitely on the internet.
So we can pull them
probably
up.
do
We're going to pull them up.
Boom.
Oh.
Okay.
What brand?
Those look nice, right?
What brand?
Yeah, where are they from?
Well, it's a Chinese shoe brand.
That's enough of that.
All right.
Bigger.
Thanks, Sean.
What's the deal?
Hey, we're all about money though. He's making $1 million a year, by the way, a little over $1 million a year. So
For the shoes or for his basketball?
shoe deal, basketball. He signed a
4-year, $54 million deal with the Lakers.
Does he have to join the red wave too? Or
All right. We appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Shams Rouhani, thanks.
Kyrie did the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, basketball is huge over there, I think.
That's why I think,
so
there's
is
plenty of
America.
players with shoes over there.
Yeah, and that's why that whole situation took place
Exactly.
with the GM.
Right.
Yeah.
Daryl Morey, I think.
With Houston, yeah.
Yeah. With LeBron involved.
Yeah.
And everybody.
And Houston's so big in China because of Yao Ming. I think this is what I saw the other day, but they were talking about how Yao Ming's debut for the Houston Rockets had like 100 million people watching it.
Probably.
Yao Ming was so tall.
So tall. He was really good too.
Yao Ming.
Now it wasn't China obviously, but remember the numbers for the World Baseball Classic when
Shohei was playing?
Yeah.
What was it?
Like 30 million or something?
Oh, I think it was.
I think it was more than that.
thought
Yeah,
it
it was
was
close
70.
to 100,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Well, we could be wrong.
Could be.
Just like we said earlier, he said, how many wins did they have the year before KOC got there? Seven, six, 5.
9, 6.
It's around
3.
there.
Could have been 4.
Who'd they draft? That's what I'm trying to think. I can't remember.
Who's that?
The Vikings. That's the only way I would know.
Yeah, where were they in the draft?
Yeah, who'd they take?
All right, let's talk about this game this evening a little bit.
Hell
Let's
yeah.
get the hell out of here. Is there anything we haven't covered? Yeah, Roquan Smith. You brought it up, actually.
Yes, I did.
You brought it up in a question to
Lambo.
and he chit-chatted about it, hearing
Quickly.
it. Here's the quote from Roquan Smith that was from a press conference that then got clipped together by CBS News in Baltimore, I do believe. This is Roquan Smith about the Baltimore Ravens traveling to division rival Cleveland Browns, which, if you do recall, Cleveland Browns were a team, and then they weren't a team, and then the Baltimore Ravens were created by the Cleveland Browns.
Yes.
A little bit of history there. Here's what Roquan has to say about playing in Cleveland against this Browns team.
You go in there as the enemy to go take over, and that's our plan, to actually go take over. I think they call it the dog pound. I consider myself a dog, so I'm right at home in that place. So I'm excited to get back in there. And I know they're a physical football team, but so are we. Honestly, I love it. You know, I love a challenge. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I love looking something square in the face and saying, bring it on, whatever it is. You know, chin up, chest out. You know, I live by that. Sunsets, no regrets. So I'm looking forward to it.
Bars,
I can't wait. You're considered the bad guy because you're going into essentially another man's house and you're trying to take over. Like his wife, kids, everyone there to watch them.
Well.
So you we going over to beat their tails in front of their wife and kids. So when you think about it from that perspective, like any man's gonna, you know, fight to the death in that point. I know if that's me in that case, I know I would.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I think about it from that standpoint. And I'm just going in, you know, just like I prepare for any other game. Play to the whistle. Play physical and hit anything that move.
Coach Pagano, as you were listening to this, and this was played on the local news, and Cleveland obviously heard this, and the Browns obviously heard this. He's just speaking his mind and the truth, I believe, in his eyes. How do you feel about listening to that, Chuck, and what do you think this does for both teams?
Yeah, you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. Now, he'll show up. He's going to talk it. I don't know how fired up, like, John Harbaugh is right now. About that.
About us putting it on this show, too.
You know Harbaugh pretty well.
Harbaugh was hoping that nobody would see it. They put it on the local news. All right, well, let's hope nobody else picks it up. Okay, let's
so there'll
hope
probably be a conversation maybe had, you know, about that. But you throw it out there, you got to show up because, like Cleveland's defense, we were talking earlier, right? I mean, they're for real.
Real deal.
Fly around.
Jim Schwartz has done an unbelievable job with that group. They play friggin' hard. I mean, they will bust your ass. Delpit, they bring him off the edge with Myles Garrett. This group is, as Darius Smith comes over.
Revenge game.
Minnesota's missing him, by the way, but he comes over. Yeah, you don't need to fuel the fire. I mean, it's hard enough to win in the National Football League. You just don't do it. You can talk amongst your boys, this, that, and the other, but why give them more?
AJ, what's his deal? Why is he so negative? I like the Roquan just out there shooting from the hip. Yeah, me and the guys were talking about this. Pretty much going to her house right in front of her wife and kids and just beating the shit out. That's what it feels.
New dad in town. There's a new dad in the house.
Yeah.
I'm in control. I love it.
Cooking
Why not?
bacon?
And it's a rivalry, old school rivalry. Let's do this. Like, I'm completely fine with this. It gives us another reason to watch the game, watch in between plays, especially early in the game, what kind of chippiness there may be. Like, this makes it fun.
I think so, too. I love that he's doing this. So we always ask for players and coaches as fans and media to be like, let's get some real answers, not the cookie-cutter answers. You're Chuck, who's a former head coach and thinking about it. He's like, we need to just give the cookie-cutter. Okay, they're good. We're playing hard. We're trying hard. Big-time division rival. Let's get the fuck out of here. We don't need you. Imagine Harbaugh showing that. Did you guys hear what Roquan said? Listen to this. Runs it. It's basically like we're going in their house right in front of their wife and kids and beating the shit out. Pause. Okay.
What the?
Roquan, do we need to be saying this at the press conference? Is this the way? Let's go to his next one. Yep. Fight to the death. That's what I would do. Okay. A little different, right? Robbing your house in front of, at a state, Like, I would like to hear Harbaugh talking about this. But I want to let Roquan know, we appreciate you, bro. We agree. You're a fucking dog.
Yeah. Keep doing that.
Hey, if they win, he's going to break it down in the locker room post-game. I bet they call him up to break it down if they can win, especially if it's a nice physical game.
What will it be?
Dogs on me. Dogs on 3. 1, 2, 3. Dogs.
Do you think Stefanski's going around to each guy and saying, like, this guy wants to fuck your wife? He wants to fuck your wife, and he wants to fuck your wife.
Is this Cleveland or is this Cucktown, USA?
Oh, no.
Roquan just happy
motivation
he's out of
right
Chicago.
there.
Bro, I love Roquan, man.
Yeah,
I am so happy he said that. I was watching that clip this morning, and it just kept getting better and better.
Yeah.
I'm like, this guy is awesome. I hope he has a podcast. I hope he just continues to talk. But he's a guy, you coach him, right? Hell of a player.
Yeah.
Dog.
Yeah.
Mentality, always like that.
Downhill. Yes.
Yeah, you just see ball.
Bloody Tuesday guy.
We love that. Hey, Roquan, talk your shit, Roquan.
Keep doing that.
Do what you got to do. We got another soundbite here from offense coordinator for the New England Patriots, Billy O'Brien.
Oh.
He was asked about potentially signing Will Grier from the Dallas Cowboys to their team so that they could get plays about the Dallas Cowboys, because that's what's taking place this weekend. Here's Bill O'Brien chit-chatting about the art of getting information from players from other teams, maybe.
Hey, Bill. Brian Schottenheimer said earlier today that with Will Grier on the roster and Zeke, that he's sure that you guys were interrogating Will to try and suss out any details on the offense. And can you confirm or deny that?
I mean, like, interrogating, Shotty's a good guy. I've known Shotty for a long time. I think that's the way it is. Every week in this league, every year in this league, there's going to be guys that come into your organization off of teams that you're about to play, and it goes both ways. It's always going to happen. So, I don't think that really, at the end of the day, you got to study the film. Everybody's got to be on the same page with what we're doing. I've never thought in my years in the league that any of that was a real overriding factor in a win or a loss. It comes down to the players on the field and the coaches putting the players in the right positions to make plays, and that's what we're trying to do. I don't think we're trying to hold a light over anybody and tell me what you did on July 20th of 2023. We're not doing that. We're not interrogating anybody. We're just trying to put together the best game plan we possibly can.
Okay, so Bill O'Brien was asked to chit-chat about something that's been happening around the NFL for a long time, but since he coaches for the Patriots, it's certainly going to get magnified a little bit more. Chuck, whenever this gets asked, obviously you know of this practice, and this happens around the NFL, trying to gather information however you can. How'd you feel about Bill O'Brien's answer, and is that why Will Grier's there in your thing?
No, ultimately why he's there, just for that, no. No, they needed another quarterback on their roster, but will they get some information out of Will Grier? Absolutely. Did they get some information? They don't sign those guys just for that reason. And if they cut them next week after the game,
which has happened, there's been a lot of players that have been brought.
Then we can go and say, okay, guilty. All right. So you're going to try to gather as much information as you can, but at the end of the day, you do have to go play. You got to, get the call.
Yeah. How long has this been happening, though?
I mean, I'm sure it's been going on for. I mean, the way players move to team to team nowadays. I mean, hey, we're getting ready to play these guys. Do you have the old play? Hey, coach, I've had guys walk in and say, hey, and I'm like, oh yeah, you were there when? The same okay. Can I get the playbook? Can we bring the playbook in and we'll show you? So there's stuff that
Yeah, that has happened in the NFL forever. I think because it's the Patriots, obviously, it's going to get a little bit more spotlight, and with the Cowboys being involved, it's going to be. And Shotty, who's been around the NFL.
We've had Shotty.
I love
Shotty.
Here. His dad, obviously, around the NFL a long time, grew up in the NFL, and him going, yeah, that's what they're doing up there. So we know we're going to have to change some stuff, and that's just smart football. And then the media, AJ, being like, okay, well, also, Patriots, they probably are being alluded to it. Happens everywhere, right? We all just need to understand that.
Happens everywhere. I don't think it has nearly the impact people think, though. People think, oh, they know all the tricks, they know all the secrets, everything. any kind of hand signals or whatever, they will change them. We know that. They might maybe you get one or two little tips here. I think the best thing you could do, like if I had a guy that came to the team and he was just with another team that we're about to play, I might ask him about specific players. Well, does this guy like when you bull rush him? Does this guy, when he's this running back, when he's pass blocking, what does he hate? Like things like that. Try to get some information from them.
So that's player to player, player to coach we just talked about. Connor, go ahead, pal.
I mean, I don't even want to know that stuff. I want to know what makes each player like cry. I want to get like what is really going to make CD Lamb not angry or pissed. Like what's going to get him down to shrink into himself and be like super emotional in the worst possible way. You're not going to find something out about Micah Parsons that's going to be like, oh shit, we're going to be able to block Micah Parsons now. But you might find something out that's like, boy, Micah Parsons, he might not be emotionally available to play in that game from the first snap. You tell him like, hey, you're a bad dog dad, or.
So this sounds like a CJ-GJ thing, too, where CJ-GJ, new teammate comes and goes, all right, tell me about this guy.
Yeah.
Who have we dated? All right, how's it gone?
You're terrible at Call of Duty or something like that. Really
Bingo.
Which is a gamer.
That's awesome to think about all the gamesmanship happening behind the scenes because the NFL is so, like, the parody's a real deal. You know what I mean? And it gets talked about in every league. Like, we want parity, want parity, want parity. It's like in the NFL, the difference between winning and losing is like that much.
2 points.
If you get a little bit of information from somebody, that person wants to win too. Like, being on the winning team, a lot better than being on the losing team. And there's some players that won't give things up, I think, right? There's always been players that are, like, won't give up everything. Some things will do that. But there's players interviewing players all day in a locker room. Hey, this guy likes to run his what? And he likes to do what? He's like, some players you'll see him talk around like, oh, I don't remember that one. It's like, all right, know that. Don't want to throw that particular player under the bus. Respect, but also they're going to try to get more information out of you right now. It's always an information gathering
Probably more
process.
of that, player to player going on. But we've had backup quarterbacks that there's certain times you got the helmet cam, right? The guy's calling in the defense to the green dot linebacker, and you get in certain situations, a 2-minute situation where you're going hurry up, they go no huddle. And there's some guy on the other sideline that's signaling in.
Tipping.
Coverages, because the back end, because they can't hear it and they're going, so they start signaling. We've had guys that get those like that. And by the second quarter, Mike's still on up to 15 seconds for the quarterback and the offensive coordinator. Hey, tell them it's going to be 2-man.
And then line up quick, too, so they have to get their call in quick. That's not a bad strategy early, though.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, let's try and hurry up in the first quarter so that they're forced to call hand signals in. And then we got somebody who's not everybody can see hand signals, though, and then see the defense
but there's some
and combine
dudes
them,
that
too.
can just figure that out and got it like that. Because a lot of people, like Peyton was so good at New Orleans. He did so many different personnel groups, and it was unbelievable. But they didn't signal. But people go, hey, that's regular. That's 21 personnel. Okay, that's 12 personnel. All right, this is 11 personnel. One back, one tight end, 3 wides. So you could tell. So up top, they say they're in 11. So I can get on my call sheet. Okay, they're 11 personnel. It's 2nd and 11. It's 3rd and 8. I know right where to go on my call sheet.
And what they're probably going to do.
And probably what they're going to do. But then you don't know the personnel, and you got a bunch of dudes running on and off, and you're like, what do they got? What do they got? What do they got? What do they got? And the guy goes, I don't know yet, coach. I don't know yet, coach. I don't know yet. And then.
New England allegedly.
So you got base defense out there. They're in 4 wides.
But
it's not a good defense.
Allegedly, New England was recording these, right? Isn't that the difference of what they were doing? Like, people have been trying to pick up people's signals since the beginning of football. Like, any sport they're trying to do it. We learned about it in baseball. Yeah. That's just competitive gamesmanship. Like, that's a part of the game. Like, people that aren't competitive or never play the sport will never understand that. But if somebody's tipping their hand, like, right now is not the time to tell them, and right now is the time to take advantage of them. Like, this is competition. That's an advantage. I'm beating you in that particular field. Signals have always been something like that.
Yeah.
What New England was doing was just not what everybody, they filmed it, so that's why it was such a big deal.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can't record it, right? That's what makes it illegal?
Can't film the opposing team's sideline.
And they were doing that. That's why it was much different than what everybody else was doing.
Yes.
And then they got
It's
Ernie
funny,
up there.
I was at Cleveland early 2000s, and that was one of the teams that they showed. Remember when that all came out?
Yeah.
So Foge Fazio, shout out to Foge, God rest in peace, Foge.
Hey, rest in peace, Foge.
He was our
Fazio.
Thank you, Foge.
So he's on. They got him doing. I did the secondary signals, and they got Foge. So I'd go pan to Foge, and then I'd be signaling the coverage.
So you're in there?
So it's all in. What's that?
You're in the tapes that got burned quickly by whoever up there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just
Well,
burn
they
it.
showed them on TV. They showed all that stuff.
So you're in that one. So you're in that one. You're in that tape, and then Deflategate. Oh my God!
Oh my God!
Chuck has been at the epicenter of every single gate.
Might be why
going on up there.
Belichick
Unbelievable.
if Belichick, Chuck Pagano's on the other side, we gotta get an advantage on this fucking guy.
No, but I appreciate.
He beat my ass so bad.
No.
Oh God.
He's good, man.
Yeah,
I
he's the
think
best.
that's why a lot of people were
Nothing
so
but respect.
disappointed about the recording because it's like, and I don't want to speak for coaches or people around there, and obviously I'm just a punter, so I don't care. But I'm just listening to how people are talking about the situation. It's like Bill's already a smarter football coach.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to do that.
Yeah, and we're all trying to do the same thing. So to go to the level in which they went to, it's like others would have done it if they would have thought of it for sure. But it's like, Bill, you don't need. I think everybody was like, Bill, you don't fucking. I think that was the big takeaway from it all. But there was nobody really coming out in the league against them because everybody was trying to get people signals however the hell they could. Such an interesting conversation, but it adds to the Patriots dynasty allure.
Yeah, it's actually in Man in the Arena, the Brady doc, because that was a big motivator the next season where they went 18-1. Because the thought was, oh, you guys don't think we could do this? You think Spygate was the reason that we've had success here? And then they blew out every team until the Super Bowl.
Well, and then in the Super Bowl after Deflategate.
Right.
Do you think they singled out Coach Pagano because they were like, he's Italian, he's talking with his hands all the time. Let's figure out what's going on.
Well, and then Fazio, too, is next to him.
Yeah,
So
right.
he's just like, well, these guys got to be doing a lot of things. Hey, you cover, too. No offense. No, I got a horn.
Yeah.
I got a horn. I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to do that.
I love that.
I'm allowed to do that.
Still didn't feel exactly right.
No, but I'm allowed to. Remember, I'm with you guys.
Felt very right.
What percentage?
Me? With the horn or without it?
Super high percent.
Yeah, before and after.
Horn, 100%. So, fucking gabagoo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Without it, 0.01%. Yeah, came back. Just a little dot.
Hey, what are you guys running? What do you think we're running?
Yeah, exactly.
Me,
These guys are.
it's too deep again.
How about Bill being shown the video the first time and he goes, do we know if those are signals or if they're just, fucking two paisans down there?
Talking about
Do we know what
gabagool?
they're talking about? Or what do we got over there? We got a little capicola, mozzarella, grazie prego. I love that. That's cover two, I think. Every time they do that.
Yep.
2 hands in the air.
The Italians are the greatest.
Oh yeah.
You didn't know that. I feel that way. Connor does not feel that way.
I don't.
Connor
Well, he hates
grew up in an Irish community with one Italian kid. I happened to grow up in an Italian community as the Irish kid.
Sure.
So I feel like I was kind of raised by a lot of Italians, so I respect and appreciate the culture. But goddamn, you guys do some interesting
Difference
stuff.
is in those two situations, you love America. He hates America.
Yeah, we found that out yesterday.
That's not true. You love Italy and Mussolini, so here we are.
Jeez.
You know?
Okay. All right. It's just day 2 of you being told you hate America. You don't bring out Mussolini.
Well, we're talking about countries and their histories.
How about AJ? How about Connor getting buried yesterday? I kind of felt bad as it was happening, but he called on himself. You know what I mean? He walked right into it.
He did, but I did hear him say he's bought, 8 to 12 shirts exactly like that just to reinforce his patriotism?
Not exactly like it. See, I bought 8 to 12 shirts that are how I would like the patriotism to be depicted.
Okay, they just having a why are you two days same shirt?
2 days, same shirt.
You just want to get a better first
Did you
impression.
take
with
it
this?
off?
Just a hammer.
Take it off between the show and this one?
No.
Yesterday?
What do I look like, an idiot? No, I kept it on the entire time so the fit doesn't change.
Where do you get them?
I can't tell you that information.
State Fair was a big.
State Fair had a ton of them.
Internet.
Yeah. Indiana State Fair is the only place you can get them.
Pretty good deal.
Internet right now, the website's closed.
Dude, I love it. I'm sure you have you gone to the State Fair?
It's not good.
You've never gone to the State Fair?
Never made it.
Oh, buddy.
Why not?
They have great shirts.
It's crazy. Yeah, this is my first time.
It's
Go
fucking,
judge some pigs or something.
Yeah.
Well, pigs, humans,
Cattle.
There's a lot to judge.
Corn.
I went once. I did it.
It's a people watching paradise.
Yeah.
We grew up where we grew up. There wasn't a state fair around. There was like a community days where like every local company got a tent and you go up and like
St.
maybe
John's Fair
spin the
was
wheel and hope for a joker to run. So you win 25 to 1 on the buck that you're putting in the little ticker thing. And then St. John's Fair, that was it. When I come to Indiana, they have the state fair. Oh, what a dream. This thing, as somebody who likes to eat, I love eating. Fried everything. Right? What's that?
Funnel cakes.
Funnel cakes, fried Oreos, the corn, everything.
You name it.
It's amazing. And the humans that show up at this thing, worthy of a watch. So you've never gone? You lived out here for how long?
10 years.
Come on,
Chuck, wake up.
10 years.
You can take
Coach
these
and ball.
John Deere tractors around the entire grounds too. Like you can actually see every single person there. Yeah. They have like these long, not kind of like a train, and you can just sit on benches.
Like a
behind it.
hayride?
Yeah.
Like you're on a hayride?
Similar, yeah.
Can't wait for those.
It's like, I don't know the square mileage, so I don't want to be absurd, but it's like 3-4 square miles.
Yeah, it's big.
This entire, and it's just all.
State Fair is a big deal. The Ohio State Fair is a big deal.
I ran into some Amish at the State Fair the last time I was up there. They were racing their ponies.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremiah was a fucking dog. He had mud all over his face. He knew who I was, though.
Oh, I
which
remember that.
Tells me they're lying. You know what I mean? Tells me some of the Amish are lying.
Some could be.
And for those Amish folks that are watching our show right now in a shed that's way deep in the property where they got internet to run to it or whatever, we appreciate you lads.
Love you, Amish.
Thank you, lads.
And lasses, maybe.
I don't think so.
I didn't think they had
Probably not.
electricity.
Yeah, they cheat, though. That's what I'm saying.
Rum Springer.
We were at Top Golf for
your
Carly's.
Diaper party.
No, was it mine?
I thought it was your diaper party. Maybe not, though.
It might have been. It was Carly's birthday, I think. Nick's wife's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
We were at Top Golf, and there's a bunch of Amish to the left. Might have been. We thought Mennonites because they were at Top Golf or whatever. And as they're leaving, little redheaded one, I forget his name. He was raising a lot of hell, this guy.
Yes, he was.
He was raising a lot of hell.
yeah.
He walks by us, and then the guy that's right behind him, maybe JJ, I think his name was JJ, he actually says, like, "You're Pat McAfee." And I was like, yes, sir. And now I see this as a gateway to a conversation now.
Right.
Now I get to talk to all these people that are dressed interestingly and certainly living a different life. And then we start talking to all of them knew who we were. They all go to a shed. That they run. One of them goes and links up with a local, gives them power, gives them internet, and they watch Sunday Ticket. They love the NFL, and they love our show. Yeah, so, I mean, they're not and they get all the tax benefits, and they're doing the whole thing. But yeah, I think we're pretty big in the Amish community.
They were keeping score on pencil and paper, though. They were not using the electronic Top Golf score
That's
system.
awesome.
That's not true. These dudes were boozing so hard.
Big time.
These kids were dumping these beers upside down.
Nice.
Dumping them upside down. I don't know how old they were.
16,
Yeah, not sure.
16, 17.
But then they hopped in a van, went to another bar, probably do the exact same thing. It was at Rum Springer. They were doing it.
Oh,
They
yeah.
haven't been out much, right?
I don't think so. Maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
I don't know. They said they were ready to build us a fucking shed here next week if we wanted.
It's
They're
in
ready.
3 days.
Do it.
They can put it up like that.
They need a roof.
Maybe they were CEO Amish.
What's that?
Christmas and Easter.
Only.
Yep.
Nailed it. You fucking nailed it. That came from LDS Thursday.
Yeah, just learned that last week.
CEO.
That was a great theme.
LDS got a guy signed to a team. So are you happy?
I know.
Jesus
Well,
works in
big deal.
mysterious
How
ways.
about that?
I enjoyed
Call me next.
on game day.
Raven.
Yeah, practice squad. How do you feel about these vets signing practice squad deals?
I think it's
AQ lost his
awesome.
mind, and then he started thinking. He
you
learned how much money they're making.
what they do now.
Made a lot more sense.
If you're still in shape, so why not?
Well, it gives like 2-3 weeks for the team too to see if you can learn the system, if you're in shape, how the locker room feels about another veteran in there. It's like a perfect setup. How come this hasn't happened in the past? Was it available in the past?
Well, they just started.
COVID opened it up.
PSE.
COVID started this kind of thing, I think.
Yeah, they changed the practice squad.
They changed who was eligible for it. So they added these veterans because of COVID. They went to like 16. You can have 16 guys on the practice squad now.
Smart play.
Yeah.
Genius.
You know,
Smart
And
play.
so you can. I mean, 10, 12. How many years Van Noy been playing?
9?
9, I think.
9.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine?
Getting
Getting a
football
vet there, and
shape.
if he's in football shape in a couple, 3, because he's just on the, he's not going to get hurt on the practice squad, given the offensive
Hopefully.
look.
Well, maybe there's
You know
been
what I mean?
some
No,
non-contact
but the way that
injuries.
you know how that goes. They're not killing each other. There's no tackling. There's no live.
There's a chance because he's playing football, but that's another reason to have him on the practice
Maybe
squad.
a soft tissue.
Like, hey, is your body ready to be back in the NFL?
It'd be a
Because you've been
soft
out.
tissue, right?
Yeah, I
Something
think
like
it's a
that.
smart play. I think it's a really smart play, especially with the money that they're paying. They're paying good. So you would assume 9 years in, he's made a good amount of cash.
Yeah.
So to make another 6-figure deal, and then if you play, it's going to go up
He knows
again.
he's getting called up. He knows he's getting pulled up, though. I'm sure he worked out there and they said, hey, we can sign you to the practice squad and we plan on bringing you up soon.
Is it the same rules where if another team signs you at the practice squad, you got to be active for what, 3 weeks?
3 weeks.
So is that
I don't
the same
know how
with
that
vets?
works now.
Is that the same with
Should.
vets?
No, that's exact. If you go poach somebody from somebody else's practice squad, you got to keep them on your 53 for 3 weeks minimum.
So then you're signing Kyle Van Noy to a veteran min for at least 3 weeks is what you're signing him to?
Well, he's going to the practice squad, so I don't know what that.
But
money,
if another team plucks him off the practice squad, they're paying him
Like the
veteran min
Patriots.
for 3 weeks?
I don't know for sure, but that would be my guess.
Okay. Interesting, because
That's how it used to be.
yeah, but those aren't vets. Remember, those were just young guys, pretty much that were on the
Yeah, it
practice
used to
squad.
be ineligible after how many years?
3 years, I think. Right, 3 years you're allowed
I
to
think
live.
you're vested after 3.
Yeah, so it was the first 3 years. So those guys were on rookie min deals. So if another team was to pluck them, there's no real negotiation. It's like, hey, you're lucky to get on a team for at least 3 weeks off the practice squad, anybody's practice squad. With a vet, I wonder
what that game check or that paycheck looks like. First week on P squad, second week. We know what it's going to look like if they bring him up.
Was it 12,000? 12,000 practice squads.
So for everybody that's on there.
Yes. Oh, is there a veteran practice squad?
Well, that's would be my next question. I'll reach out to some guys and see if we can find that out.
Yeah, because if there was, would it deter you from adding?
Yes.
If it doesn't go against cap, I think.
Oh, true.
Still owners spending money.
Yeah, I guess some places would not spend money if it was a little bit
We
more.
can find that out. But I know if they bring him up, they sign him to 53. He's going to make whatever that.
Veteran players with over 2 years experience will make a minimum of 16. Yeah, there is a veteran practice squad. Here we go. Practice squad players make $12,000 per week, or $216,000 for 18. Veteran players with over 2 years experience will make a minimum of $16,000 per week, $289,000, a maximum of $20,000 per week, $370,000. Okay,
so you're like an 8-year vet, you get 20 a week?
Or do you like get tiered, like tendered? Like, hey, you're a vet, we're going to put you at the top practice. Like Cal Van Noy, probably at 20 there?
Probably, yeah.
You would have to be 9 years in.
You would think. So that's pretty good. Hey,
it's not bad.
Great deal.
That's a pretty good little deal there. And then what's veteran min now? 600 something, 700 something?
Oh, 7 something, isn't it?
I thought it was 7.
Veteran min might, yeah. If he's at 9 years, his veteran min's almost $1 million.
Gotta be.
We can probably find
870,000.
So
that's for.
Let's divide
that's
that
for
by
year
18, 870.
7+ years is 1.65.
Is vet min?
Minimum?
That's what I'm looking at.
What's minimum now when you
God
get drafted
damn.
as a rookie?
The fuck? That's why they're not signing any of these guys.
Absurd.
Yeah,
rookie minimum was $275 when I got in the league.
Yeah, I wonder what rookie minimum is now, because if guys are getting paid
$750 is what it's saying.
So that's a $900,000 difference. No shit, they're taking young guys. They're not going to sign any of these vets.
Yeah.
That was one of the backlashes that wasn't thought about when they were like, veteran min needs to be here, rookie min needs to be here, and then teams were like, okay, if we stack 2 of these, that's $1.4 million. That's okay. Yeah, we will get rid of them.
Money well spent if you get a guy like Van Noy, if he knows he's been in a similar system. You got a couple guys dinged up for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is, and you can just plug and play.
Did you say 1.6 for the veteran min?
This says 1.165.
Oh, 1.16. 1.165,000 divided by 18 equals. So that's 64,700. So that's a nice $44,000 bump whenever you go back up to the active squad for Kyle Van Noy. That's crazy.
This is the minimum chart by year.
So my min, if I was to go back, 1.165 mil.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Pretty good.
Yeah, nice to know that's still there.
Would it be less because the first 3 weeks?
You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, nice to know
I think you're going to be okay, but
yeah, I think it'll be okay. It's nice to know there's $1 million job.
I'm glad you're lifting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I wouldn't be in the top 20, but I'll tell you what, for 1.165, you're expecting me to be 26 anyways.
Exactly.
So I'll turn a couple over for you every once in a while. But that is certainly affecting decisions on who they're keeping.
How could it not? Yeah, it has to.
Every dollar, especially at the bottom half of that roster, because they're trying to pay the top half. So all we ever talk about is the puzzle pieces to pay this top half. So you know who are the victims of that whole thing is the bottom 15. Yeah. And in the vets, that's where special teamers are. That's where guys have been around a long time. So now you add fair catches to kickoffs. You also add the fact that there's $300,000, $400,000 more. It's like that wasn't really well thought out, I don't think. I don't know if I'm in the room, I think of that either, but that is certainly something that has taken place with the new rules. Let's dive into this evening and make our picks. This evening, has this line changed at all, Tone Diggs?
Let me make sure. I believe it was still sitting at, nope. So there's a 1.5 at BetMGM. There's a 2.5 at FanDuel. Everyone else is 2.
Okay, so we'll take it at 2 for this particular standpoint. We tied last week, AJ. Great work for that last week.
Good job, boys.
Great work.
There's a man joining us right now who coached football for 36 years, who is currently 2-0. Would have been 3-0, but the first week he was in Italy riding a bike with Ray Lewis.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been on the right side of it, obviously, so we're telling him he's 3-0, baby.
That boy, Coach.
Last week, the Niners beat the hell out of the Giants. We kind of saw it all. He backdoored the Vikings over the Eagles in week 2. Week 1 would have had the Detroit Lions, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck, whenever you look at this NFC North matchup this evening, first time the Lions have been favored going into Lambeau against QB1 and the Packers in 37 years. How do you see it playing out?
Hey, so, I mean, going into Lambeau, we all know what that's like. Jordan Love looks really good. I know his completion rate percentage isn't great, but he looks good. They're due to get back. I know they're missing left tackle, left guard. They got able bodies to fill in there. Get Aaron Jones back, which is going to be a big lift. Christian Watkins is supposed to be
Watson.
What is it?
Watson.
Well, okay, Watson.
He's a rook. He's a second year guy.
Sorry, Christian.
It's okay. He's
But
back first time.
Yeah,
Get him back. Dobbs, maybe A.J. Dillon as coming off the bench and not being a starter plays a little bit better. That's a tough ask. And then getting points at home, that's hard to bet against. But
whoa!
Yep.
Wow.
But
Whoa!
Wow.
I'm a believer in these brand
new Lions.
I just think MCDC, that culture, the line of scrimmage. Okay, I know they got a couple guys down. Aaron Glenn, the job he's done with that defense, hold Atlanta. I thought Atlanta, I didn't see that coming, and hold them to 6 points. And you look at, Saints went in there and just dominated that first half, right? When did Derek Carr go out?
Third
quarter.
Okay, so, and when did they get their 18 points in
fourth quarter?
Fourth quarter. So, Goff is 4-2. Nothing against Jameis. Love Jameis. Love his pregame deal.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I know his workouts and exercises.
That's classic.
Should we go deep to cheat sheet?
Yes.
That's his last appearance.
Yeah.
We love him.
So, give me Goff. Give me that run game. David Montgomery's supposed to play, Foxy, right?
Yeah, starter.
Yes, sir.
We get that pounder back with Gibbs and Amon Ra, St. Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like the Lions?
Give me the Lions and that defense. They can run the ball. Packers can't stop the run. They're at 27th in the league right now in rush defense.
So you
Give me
think
the Lions.
Gibbs, Montgomery, big night tonight?
Big night tonight.
Because last year, remember, you were calling like touchdowns for people.
Oh, yeah.
You're saying Gibbs, big night tonight.
Gibbs could, yeah, Gibbs.
Montgomery, big night.
It's going to be a great 1-2 punch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird because Gibbs, I think he's tied for the league lead in 15+ yard runs,
And he is not.
but he hasn't scored yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the big night goes to number 87, Laporta.
Oh, hey, did you see that silky
Yes,
route?
I saw it.
Yeah, he's a
and
guy.
they still can't cover him.
Yeah, Hawkeyes. And also Ben Johnson, big time. So we like Laporta to get in the end zone.
Like Ben, we were together at UNC. He was a backup quarterback, 2007, Ben.
Oh, yeah, you have
Yeah,
ties
we
to
went there
everybody.
for 1 year.
Of course.
Of course you do, yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's been great
Yeah.
as the offense coordinator for the Detroit Lions. Okay, so we like Laporta anytime touchdowns, what I just heard from Chuck Pagano, as well as a Lions win. Lions favored by 2 in Lambeau. A.J. Hawk, who's been seeing the board pretty well. How do you see this one turning out?
I appreciate Chuck and going through the game and trying to figure everything out, but I'm going to have to take the other side here. I'm taking Green Bay. I think Rashawn Gary, if you've been watching the Packers,
Yes.
Rashawn Gary's all over the place. He is everywhere. I think their secondary is going to play very, very well. I'm a bit worried about stopping the run. I know this Detroit offense is going to try to run the ball early, play action, take some shots. I think the Packers turn them over a few times. Give me the Packers +2.
Okay, +2 at home. I mean, you were
+3 maybe. I saw it +3 somewhere else.
No,
too.
+3. We decided on 2.
Never got to that.
Our guy told us. A guy said about the book. Said you got to check the books and get your best
There's
line.
no way.
Yeah, well, you do got to get that for your actual money, but for the sake of our picking here, 2 is where we're at.
And that's the best line you got.
Yeah, 2.5 doesn't even exist anymore. So sorry about it. Just 2.
All right.
And that's the best line. I would like you to get 1.5. How about that?
No, it says +2 on the board right there.
Oh, okay. So now we're going with the graphic.
There we go.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
I will say this one is difficult because I do appreciate the hell out of Jordan Love and this Green Bay Packers team in this new era, this transition era from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. Gunther Kutz's eyes and hands are all over this roster now. This is how he's going to be judged. And when Jordan Love was having this moment with the Packers fans in the fourth quarter, I was watching and I was like, this is special. This is a moment we're going to look back on whenever they tell the story of Jordan Love. But, yeah. I'm with Chuck. Bach and Jenkins out. Okay, left tackle, left guard. That D-line of Detroit and how they'll attack that. And I think Dan Campbell, quietly, sneaky, football guru. Like, we talk about Vrabel and Bill Belichick and Andy Reid. Like, hey, our strategy is going to be our strategy. I think MCDC has his fingerprints all over how we're going to attack teams, what we're going to do. And Ben Johnson and Goff, I think they go into Lambeau and make it 4 straight against the Green Bay Packers. Give me the Lions -1.5. You good with that?
I'm good with whatever you want.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever
Fool.
I don't expect you to be on my side. I don't want you to be on my side. It's good when we're
Okay.
opposed.
Well, I got a 1.5.
So we got a 1.5.
Yeah, we got a 1.5. Yeah, we just slipped one.
Yeah, it's out there.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I heard you. I'm a money line guy anyway. I don't really care about the spread.
Whoa, tough guy.
It has nothing to do with being tough, but yeah, I'd like to see who wins the game.
Okay, you said you have anytime touchdown scorer this weekend, a 5-legger that you feel very good about. And I think Gibbs is one of them, is he not?
So Gibbs wasn't on that list, but he is on another list I like a lot. Just because these guys who don't get touchdowns, who is on that list with Gibbs is the Packers tight end, Luke Musgrave. He has not gotten in the end zone yet. And because CJGJ's out, backup safety probably back there. I don't know if that is Branch.
Tight ends have been awesome against the Lions defense, by the way.
Okay, so yeah, Musgrave seems like the one that hasn't scored yet that should get it.
Okay, now who's your 5-parter? Do you remember?
The 5-parter is Zay Flowers, Puka Nacua, Jamar Chase, A.J. Brown.
Olave.
And there's Olave. Yeah, Chris Olave. He's the last one. It's those 5. They have the most targets without a touchdown.
So we're just assuming this is going to be the week where they all get in.
Yes, and sorry, not most targets, most catches without a touchdown.
Yeah, so these guys have been – Puka Nacua has been the story.
He's been balling.
Has not scored a touchdown yet.
Jamar Chase.
Puka Nacua.
That's not his name.
No.
It's a wonderful phrase. Is that where we're going?
No.
Puka.
They call the other list Connor's talking about.
You know that song? What's that movie from?
Kuna Matata?
Yeah.
Lion King.
Puka Nacua. For the rest of the
receivers. Means he's always open.
And catching balls.
Puka Nacua.
Call him Puka Doncic. That's his nickname.
Puka.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a nice Puka.
He's a hell of a football player.
What's his
Very
last
good.
name? Puka what?
Nacua.
N-A-C-U.
Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua.
And he's going to be here in Indianapolis this weekend. He's going to be
Uh-oh.
sadly mistaken. You might want to take him off of that. I don't know if the Colts are going to let anybody score, let alone Puka Nacua.
It's actually the only one I feel 100% on is Puka Nacua.
You're a pig.
Well, A.J. Brown and Jamar Chase, they're feeding him the ball. They just, when it gets down to the red area, they're just focusing on those two.
Olave, too. I mean, he's the guy that needs to get in the paint.
Yeah, at least they got Michael Thomas to take some pressure off.
All right, so what did you like? Who's the tight end?
Luke Musgrave.
Okay, Luke Musgrave. You like Laporta, tight ends tonight.
Don't you think Branch shuts out? Foxy, will they put Branch on him?
They did that with Pitts last week, and he was pretty successful in it. But
Fucking
the
A
two
was.
games before that, the tight ends dominated.
How is Pitts? I don't think I've learned
They're
enough.
talking about trading him last week, and Atlanta already shut that down.
Quarterback's
Said, hey,
having a hard
that's
time
not-
getting with the ball.
Well,
Pitts is a Pitts, right?
Where did Musgrave go to school?
Oregon State.
Okay. There's just a lot of talk about rookie tight ends, and it's really only Laporta. I would hope, being a dog at home.
What about what's his face up in Buffalo? Kincaid?
He has been underwhelming.
Really?
I think he had 2 catches for 3 yards last week. They're not. He hasn't. The way they talked about him has been up here, and it hasn't been the same.
A lot of season left for everybody.
Oh,
a lot
plenty,
of season.
right. Plenty.
Hang
All
in there.
right, let's enjoy the hell out of tonight. Tomorrow, I will be at Duke. I believe AJ will be
in Stooge.
What?
We got big time guests. I believe we got Artie Smith calling in from London town.
Hell yeah.
I believe we got TJ White joining us. I believe head coach Mike Elko of the Duke football team will be joining me down there at Duke, and Riley Leonard, quarterback for Duke, will be joining me down there. So tomorrow should be absolutely packed. We can't thank you, and obviously we'll be reacting to this evening's games.
Hell yeah.
Big one in the NFC North tonight. All eyes are on Prime. Hopefully we'll get a good game.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I think we will.
I think so, too. These teams know a lot about each other. So that means they know their weaknesses.
Hell yeah. Right.
But they also know their strengths. So it might be a stalemate, which is what primetime football has been a little bit too often in the last year and a half. But not tonight.
Nope.
Tonight's going to be a great game, and we'll be reacting to all of it. AJ, you're the man. Chuck, appreciate you, pal.
Boy, Chuck.
He will be trying to go 4-0 with his Lions pick tonight. I hope that happens for the good of both of us.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're the greatest humans on earth. Thank you so much for allowing us to do this every single day. Be a friend, tell a friend something nice that might change their life. Goodbye.